Hey friends, so today we are going out strawberry picking. We're going to Miss Heather's strawberry farm. It seems to be the only one open during COVID. However, there are farms open for blueberry picking, like in Picayune. I'm sorry, blackberry picking in Picayune, and then blueberry picking in Washington Parish. So I think we're probably going to end up hitting at least a couple of them, not today, but this season, mostly because there's just something really nice about going out and picking fruit and then eating the fruit that you picked. And I talked about this a little bit more in last week's art studio vlog, so if you're interested in my interest in picking and consuming fruit, I guess you can watch that. I have never been to this place. The online reviews are raving. There's a few different New Orleans blogs that talk about the place, and to all accounts, it sounds like it is a good time. It is the first day this week. It is not raining. I am sure that place is going to be sopping muddy wet, and I don't own any boots that are not like cutie boots, you know, like I don't own like shrimp boots or anything like that. So I guess I'm just gonna sacrifice a pair of shoes to the mud gods because that's what I got. So I'm looking forward to it. I've enjoyed strawberry picking in the past, and I'm hoping that we're gonna have a good day. So the place we're going to is like kind of outside of Hammond. It's about a 50-minute drive away from here. Which is not untypical for Louisiana. Things are pretty spread apart. He's all like ready to go. Sorry, no. You saw that thought process going on there? Words. So, for example, just to see my mom, and this is considered a short drive, it's like a 30-minute drive from Norco to Luling if I'm speeding. So, you know, everything's kind of spread out here. It's not like Nashville where things were closer together, and we don't necessarily have public transit. It's not like we can take like a bus over to Hammond. So, fortunately, I have a car, but I would love to see Louisiana, especially rural Louisiana, work on more public transit systems. Not everyone can afford a car. Having a car is very expensive, and it certainly puts a burden on people with lower incomes to have a car and maintain that car. But you guys are sympathetic to the plight. I'm just mentioning it because, you know, when it comes time to vote, that is something that is worth considering. So think about the fact that our taxpayer dollars are going to raise the standard of living for everyone, not just one set of people. Anyway, let's go pick some berries. Okay, y'all, I have like an analogy for the internet and social media for you guys, okay? This one looks beautiful, doesn't it? Looks so delicious. You just want to get a bite out of it, right? So perfect. You turn it over, big old rotten spot. Point of that is people post the best in general online, and they save the truth for, you know, themselves. And that's fine. Nobody wants to go bragging about or sharing all the sad and all the pain, but it's something to keep in mind when you're looking at the internet, when you're looking at Twitter or Facebook or TikTok or whatever, and you think that someone has a perfect life. They're just not showing you all the bruises. Today has been a long day. Strawberry picking was fun, but also frustrating because you would just get these really beautiful looking berries and you had to be really careful because if you turn them over, they're like garbage on the other side. They're rotten, they're mushy, they've been sitting in the water. And that's such a metaphor for so much of life. You know, you got to be very careful about things that look like they're really good on the surface because there's often hidden flaws, there's often hidden catches to them. But it definitely makes me want to head out to Picayune and do blackberry picking, and it also really makes me excited about, you know, the possibility of having a home and being able to grow things that we can eat, that we can harvest, that we can share with other people. There's something just very fulfilling and nurturing, I think, about that, and it just really scratches this itch, it really scratches this need for me. On that note, our offer on that house was accepted, and they did make a request that I think it was a counter offer technically, that we wait until May 28th to move in, which isn't really an issue. They have kids and they want to wait until the school year ends to move. Totally get that. Would not want to have to disrupt my kids' education, you know, right before the end of the school year. And there may be a time when we're in that situation and making a similar request. And, you know, I would hope that the people we asked that of or counter offered that to would be accommodating to us. So that's not really a problem. So Joseph has already picked someone he'd like to use as an inspector. So we're waiting to hear back from them, and I'm really excited that we've moved forward in this process. Even if something comes up, even if there's some other hurdle, I'm glad we've gotten a little bit further. And that's kind of a real parallel to my life and my artistic life. I don't mind setbacks. I don't mind when things don't work out. What I hate is when I don't know how to learn from the situation. I don't know how to interpret it. I don't get any feedback, and it kind of prevents me from making adjustments so that I can move forward in the future. And I think that's one of the big detriments to not necessarily having an art mentor, especially not someone I felt like I could go to with my problems. I do think that's really kind of prevented me from making some of the progress that maybe, you know, should have been attainable for me. But I feel like a lot of women and femme identifying and non-binary people from my graduating class at SCAD got treated the same way, and we were just kind of cast adrift without much guidance, and no one really cared about us, and it was just like, good luck. And it certainly makes me realize that if I was ever in a real position to help someone else out, and I had some job security myself, and I felt like I had something to offer, that it would be important for me to do so. I mean, in a lot of ways over the years, I've tried to do that, from sharing what I've learned and what I know, my convention experiences and my reviews over on the blog, to doing the same here on YouTube, to having an art Discord server where I am very accessible for help, even though, to be frank, I've not been as present as I would like lately, partially because I'm busy doing house stuff, but also just frankly, I'm exhausted, and like, you know, that is not a very YouTube thing to say. I think it's a lot of, for women and femme people on YouTube, I think there's this culture of toxic positivity that we're expected to kind of maintain, and I don't exactly fit well into that, and I just would prefer to be honest. So that is something I'm definitely looking forward to. I am sure my fellow ADHD friends who have been watching me struggle and watching as the struggle got much harder this year for me, I know y'all are probably like, girl, get on medicine, and that is coming up soon. My primary care physician appointment is the 26th, so it is coming up. There was a long waiting period because I am a new patient, and you know, honestly, there were a lot of days where I felt like it was untenable living like this. Like, I really do struggle with anxiety and depression and anxiety and ADHD issues, and like just dealing with that like I had been dealing with it for so long by myself, you know. And I even got myself out of a really bad depression episode a few years ago. I would not recommend you do it by yourself. If you can see a doctor, I recommend it. I even tried using BetterHelp and they scammed me out of my money. So like, this is not medical advice. Do not do what I did. Other than my medical advice is seek medical advice. But you know, you hit a point where you've been doing it by yourself for so long, and then you kind of finally realize you don't have to do it, or you finally realize that having help is gonna actually help and could make a major improvement on your life, and you're just like ready. You're just ready. I'm one of those stubborn people who, I guess I procrastinate, and then when I've had enough, there's no looking back. I'm done. Let's go. And that was kind of me with ADHD, like way back last summer when we moved here. I was ready to go. So this has been such a long time coming, and it's really getting to the point where it's just wearing me out, which is funny because I had done it on my own for so long. You would have thought it would have ground me down before, but like now is the time where it's like I've used up my last reserves. It is really wearing me out. So I'm really glad that there is relief in sight, and I am really hoping that I can get the relief I need, get the help I need, get the guidance I need. I am seeing, I mean, if this is too personal, I'm sorry, but I do think it's important to talk about mental health, and I think it's important to talk about mental health candidly, and I'm trying to destigmatize seeking mental health as well as living with mental illness. And quite frankly, often I have been used as like cannon fodder for these ideas that like are before their time, and like people call me ugly names, and then 3 years later they're doing the same thing I'd been championing for, and they acted like I never existed. So I hate it, but I'm used to it. So if you're uncomfortable with me talking candidly about mental health issues, you might not like my vlogs at all. And I'm never trying to be overly pessimistic, even though I am someone who struggles with depression. I try never to be mean or vitriolic or ugly about it. But I do think documenting it candidly is important, even when I'm struggling, because I know there are other people out there who are also struggling. And I'm hoping to get help, and I'm hoping that getting help will inspire other people to get help the same way friends of mine who were able to get on medication again talk about how it really does make a difference in their lives, and they actually feel happier, and they have time, and they can focus, and they're not exhausted all the time. So I'm hoping that this journey that we're on together, I hope it culminates in something that is beneficial for me and can also be beneficial for you, in that if you have if you have ADHD, or if you think you have ADHD and you talk to your doctor, you can start making progress as well. But you know, being in the middle of it, especially during COVID when everything takes so much longer, it's just hard. You know, it's hard, especially when you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm finally ready. I fought it for years. I'm ready to go back on medication. I'm open to the possibility. We've made so many strides medically. I'm super ready. And to just be told you're going to have to wait and wait and wait and wait for months for an opening because you're a new patient. It's definitely hard. It's hard to keep your spirits up. And there are things I should be excited about. You know, the house is coming along. We're excited about that. We're hopeful for that. We're looking to start a family. I want to have kids. Joseph wants to have kids. I'm ready to put a lot of the love that I have, that I just kind of put out on the internet to receive nothing in return. I'm ready to put that into people who can love me back and it not be a weird parasocial relationship. You know, there are things to look forward to, but I'm also there's just certain walls I just always butt my head against, and I feel bad talking to you guys about it because I know it comes across as complaining, and there's a risk of it sounding like I'm complaining about you when I'm just talking about the general situation, and it's not like a personal thing, it's not an individual thing, it's just this problem. So it's weird because it is professional and it is art and art studio related, and I just don't know how to fix it on my own. And I just am not at a place where I feel confident enough to reach out to somebody and ask them to mentor me. And I feel like I'm just increasingly, this is dangerous to admit, but I feel like I'm increasingly out of touch. Like, I'm still using Twitter and other social media, but like 2 years without conventions, you know, who's in the know has shifted. Information has shifted, how we do things has shifted, and I kind of held back from changing because I really did. I've mentioned this a few times, and I'm serious about this. I want to ramp up the shop, especially because I used to do convention sales for a long time, and COVID killed all the convention sales, and it would have been nice if I could have pushed an online shop more, but right now I have inventory problems in that my inventory is packed up and not necessarily accessible. And I would also like to get fresh inventory, and I'd like to talk about making inventory. And for that, you know, I want to have a place where I can have it, maybe even display it when I'm doing vlogs, and have it organized and accessible in a way that I can understand and I'm not scrambling for it. And between my last apartment and then living in a rental, it's not quite ideal, which is part of the reason why I've been pushing to look at houses. I'm really ready for this and to start art tutoring, and this space is not, I can't do anything in this space, in that we can't put anything up on the walls, we can't hang shelves, we can't hang pictures, I can't even put my own art up. And boy, it's like living in a dorm room, you know, except in a dorm room you can tape stuff up, but I'm afraid of damaging the walls. And it also looks, maybe I'm just worrying about nothing. The trip to the strawberry patch was actually really inspiring for me because I do a lot of nature inspired natural art, and even though we had to kind of hunt for good strawberries, for not rotty strawberries, we did find plenty of good strawberries. And also just the color shift between an unripe strawberry that's starting to ripen is just really cool. It's like white, yellow, green to pink. It's just a really cool palette. So, you know, I feel like this is probably a hibernation time, which is frustrating because I'm watching other people bloom and flourish, and I'm ready to bloom and flourish, and it's just not necessarily time yet. So patience has never been my virtue, and to be frank with this, I graduated in 2013, so we're like 2012. Yeah, I graduated from SCAD in 2012 with a master's, so I had already graduated with a 4-year degree, and I was just like, by the time I graduated, I really thought I was going to be doing more, and I have gotten some job nibbles, which is great. I am super grateful for those, but you know, I would really love to find a way to get involved in doing art for local things. And unfortunately for me, I am connected and not connected. And I come from, not everybody in my family is shy. Like, I think by nature, I'm not actually shy. And this is something that is pretty common with people with ADHD, especially women with ADHD, because we don't necessarily behave in the way that society has decided women have to behave. And I certainly did not behave the way Louisiana society decided girls should behave. I kind of have always done my own thing. And so then you're kind of penalized, you're ostracized, people think you're weird, they talk about you, they don't include you, and that really affects your confidence. And while I was in undergrad and grad school, I actually gotten over that. I'd gotten past that, and I was able to very easily strike up conversations with like anybody. I had a really bad depressive spell while living in Nashville, like really bad for several years. There are times I think I maybe never climbed out of it. There's better days. And it just kind of like completely kneecapped me. All the confidence that I'd had gotten shattered. And like nobody wants to like listen to sad vlog. But I also think, I know so many artists who are like this too. When Ink Drop Cafe was going on, that was the webcomic collective I co-founded with some friends, and we had this Discord server, and we'd get all these other artists we didn't even know, okay? And so many of them, when you finally get to talking to them and they start opening up, they admit these kinds of things like, oh, I actually have really bad social anxiety. Oh, being in chats, talking to people in person is really difficult. I have all these confidence issues. So I mention this not just so that you guys can get to know me better because we're hanging out, but also because this is a common problem for artists, and it's one we don't necessarily talk about because it's not happy, shiny, positive. It's not good news, good news, good news. It's there, and it's a problem, and we just kind of ignore it, or we deal with it the best way we know how, and sometimes that's not so great. I fake passably normal pretty well, but I'm ready to like feel like I'm a contributing member, like I have something. I know I have things of value to say. I know I have interesting thoughts. I know I have knowledge. I know I have experience. And it's so hard these days for me to find my voice because I feel so demoralized working from home, working alone, struggling to find freelance, conventions falling off the map due to COVID, social media kind of pushing people down unless you're one of the rising stars. It's a lot to deal with, and it can really be crushing. And even if you think you know better, it can still wear on you. And I think that's something we don't necessarily talk about because it is kind of embarrassing to talk about those things. People will accuse you of being entitled, or they might accuse you of being elitist, or you might come across as sounding ungrateful, or you might come across as, thinking you're better than you actually are. And it's very challenging to be open about this and it not just sound like whining, because that's not really the intention. Just whining about it doesn't help anybody improve or fix it or find their feet or find their footing or find a mentor, But not talking about it doesn't do any of that either. So my goal is to find productive ways to talk about it, even if we don't find solutions, because I'm struggling with it too. I don't propose to have a solution, but I think there's a solution out there, and I'm open to looking for it, and I'm open to sharing it with y'all when I find it. And what works for me might not work for you, because what works for other people doesn't normally work for me. So, we all have to kind of invent our own roads. There's no one clear path. And that's one of the things I've always tried to be very honest about on this channel is you can't, there is no prescribed way of doing, there's ways you can improve your art, right? But there's no prescribed path to artistic success. It's different for everyone. There's a lot of luck, there's a lot of who you know, and there's a lot of the right time and the right place. So I could fake it till you make it and claim to have all this knowledge that will definitely work for you. But it's your mileage may vary situation every single time. When Kirska and I were co-running How to Be a Con Artist and teaching people how to do conventions, it was always a very curated, your mileage may vary situation, and we can answer some very specific questions. We can give you the best advice we have, but it's really going to vary based on your art and your audience and what shows are in your area and what you can afford to do and what kind of merch you can afford to make and what kind of merch you're willing to sink a lot of money in or kickstart or what. And that's true for everything art related. So to be real, it like makes me very uncomfortable when I see people selling these courses where they claim to have the answers to how to become a XYZ successful artist. Like, you can teach someone how to do surface design. You can teach somebody the basics of graphic design. You can teach someone how to make comics. You can teach someone the basics of composition. Those are all skills. But unless you are literally working with that person as an individual and introducing them around and curating who they send their work out to, you can't guarantee that. And there's a lot of people who kind of do, and it always just makes me kind of uncomfortable because unless it's a curated approach, it's not going to work. It's different for everyone. It's like those find your creativity courses, which I think we're all creative beings. I think carving out the space to be bored is a good way to find your creativity because your brain starts to amuse yourself. And I think focusing on things you enjoy and things you love and how those inspire you is a great way to find your creativity. It probably meandered there because I'm tired, and when I'm tired, the ADHD kind of is stronger. And I was also driving a lot today, and that always makes me a little more fritzy, which is why I'm definitely looking forward to some relief. I'm probably going to be talking about it a lot because it's going to be on my mind a lot because my appointment's coming up, and I'm very hopeful that we can start making positive progress in that regard because I am hitting my head against that wall real hard, and it's embarrassing in a way because I feel like I'm not able to bring my A game here to the channel. I feel like lately I've just been so distracted and tired all the time. And there's things I want to do and there's ideas I want to pursue, and I just don't have the energy for it. And that's sad because one of the things I've always been known for is how much energy I have and how much passion I have. And I'm also kind of hoping once the ADHD gets addressed and the anxiety can get addressed, I can start working on my depression issues because, you know, I'm wearing a mask a lot, you know? Like, I'm not being me, but it's like when you ask a friend who's just down all the time and you've fussed at them for always being a bummer, you ask them how they're doing, they're going to tell you they're fine because you've already let them know that you don't want to hear anything but good news from them. So, and that's not fair. A lot of you guys have been super understanding and wonderful and very, very kind. But just knowing that, like, I've talked about the toxic positivity of the internet before, like, just knowing that it sets this expectation that if I get too real, if I get too personal, if I get too honest, if I talk about things I actually struggle with, people are gonna dislike me, people are gonna hate me, they're gonna drop me. And that's something I want to work on because I think a big part of creativity for me is that ability to be vulnerable and honest and share things, because that's often when I'm my funniest. That's often when I'm my most brilliant, when I am my most poetic, as when I feel comfortable sharing these concepts and sharing these ideas. And that's where I'm at with my comics these days. We were watching, it's a Kickstarter for Kilgore Comics, and one of the guys said I forget which one, I'm sorry. He was talking about how he makes these comics and he just puts them out there and he just doesn't expect to ever hear back about anything. He doesn't expect anyone to read them. And I was like, if that was me, I just wouldn't put them online. Like, I've been making comics since I was a 13-year-old kid. I didn't start putting my comics online until Kara. If I didn't care about people reading them, I wouldn't put the time into sharing them, you know? And that's it. Like, we have different approaches. That's fine. But for me, comics are about communication. They're about communicating the best of myself, the worst of myself, the things that I've been through, the things that made me laugh and happy and hopeful and joyful, and the things that absolutely broke my heart. And in the end, I want to wrap it all up in a package that is hopeful but honest and realistic. And, you know, for me, that makes people with ADHD, makes kids with ADHD see the best in themselves too, to give them someone that they can see themselves in, who is loved and who is cherished and who is funny and important and viewed as this valuable person. Because that is something I struggle with. And I want, if I could just give that to other people, if I could give that to myself, I would in a heartbeat. So for me, making comics is about communication. It's about trying to make somebody else's life better. It's about creating an escape and creating people that you could see as your friends and creating a world you want to be in. That's why I like magical realism. It's it's believable enough, but you can escape into it. And to me, it's a very privileged, in a way, a very privileged position to be making money off of comics and then say you don't care or you don't expect to hear back from the audience, because it's like you're profiting off of this relationship, but you don't want to engage the audience. And I'm like the opposite. Like, I would love to do school visits. I would love to do class visits. I would love to do library visits. I already teach. I already put so much of myself out there for free. I teach people how to make comics. I teach people how to draw. Like, I want that communication so bad. That's the legacy I wanted to leave, was making it easier for other people, whether it's creating a character that they can see themselves in and love, or teaching them how to tell the kind of stories they want to tell for free. That's the legacy that I wanted to leave. And for me, that passion is so driving, and it's a real struggle when I fall short on that. It's hard for me to keep wanting to do it, to not see myself as a failure when I fall short on that. And I need help. I always need help. I always need, people's good word. I need people's reviews. I need people to tell other people about my channel and the stuff I do. And that never changes. That is I will always be appreciative of those things. Those are always so helpful for me. Those are things I cannot do for myself. And they really mean a lot to me. And when people tell me, they enjoy my live streams because it helps with their anxiety, I cherish that. Like, that's really important to me, because it makes me feel like my existence, me being here, matters. That it's important, that it makes somebody else's existence better. And that's important to me. Like, that's hardwired into who I am. And, feeling like I'm isolated, like I'm not part of the community, like I can't talk to my peers, like I'm unwanted, that's the exact opposite. It just makes me want to curl up and give up, And I think a lot of us deal with it, and it's hard to bring it up. Because I think those sort of, I don't want to say feminine feelings, because I think a lot of men feel that way too, but let's say societally coded as feminine feelings, right? To be nurturing, to want to communicate. Societally in the US, we're taught that that's more feminine, and that's often treated as a pejorative thing or a weakness, right? But I believe anyone can feel that way. It's not a gendered thing. To want those things is not gendered. I have friends across the gender spectrum who want to communicate, want to tell stories, and want that kind of back and forth. That's not related to gender, but we treat it sometimes like it is related to gender. And to want that, for that to be your reason for making comics, is often kind of treated like you're trying too hard, you want it too bad, like you're desperate. And that's sad, because it's a very valid reason to put so much time and effort into something. It's a valid reason to do YouTube. It's a valid reason to make comics. It's a valid reason to go to shows, because you like people and you want to communicate. And I like people and I want to communicate, but I'm shy. And comics are a way I can communicate, and I can hopefully send the message I actually mean without me stumbling over my words, without my expression being misinterpreted. When I was a kid, my eyesight wasn't great, but I still tested well on the eyesight test, and I don't know why. It wasn't until 6th grade when I finally failed a vision test. And as a kid, I used to squint a lot because I couldn't see very well, and my eyes are really sensitive to strong lights, which I work on the surface of the sun, and I can feel it. And my mom would say, she would say I glared all the time, that people could tell I was glaring all the time. And That's what I mean. Like, doing comics allows me to create someone who isn't glaring. Wow, I'm gonna cry about this. I'm sorry, y'all. Who isn't glaring all the time. It's somebody who's smiling a lot and very good-natured and inquisitive, and I can put all that out there and maybe it won't be misinterpreted. So for me, comics are a way that someone who is would like to be outgoing, someone who has a oh no, I can't remember the term, when you like being around people and you get energized from being around people, sorry, but has this anxiety and is very shy because the world's been has kind of misinterpreted who she is, and it's misinterpreted her best intentions. Comics are a way I can try again. So that's one of the reasons I like comics. You know, I have all these hopes and kind feelings that I want to share, that I want to put out there. It's like my love letter to other people. When I have a hard time being brave enough to say those things, you know. I'm one of those people who I believe in complimenting honestly. Like, if I like something, I'll tell you, you know, because I think we don't have enough of that kindness in the world. And little kids love it, you know what I mean? Like, they'll just take the compliment. But like, if I compliment adults, they'll often look at me like real funny, like I want something from them. Well, all I want is, we live in a hard world, and there's a lot of unkindness and there's a lot of meanness, and I'm just trying to make your day a little bit better because I can do that, you know. But that sometimes gets misinterpreted, and that's frustrating, you know, because I don't want anything in return. A smile. I'd like a smile if you got one, and if you don't, that's cool too. Because there've been days when, like, I was having a real rough day, and somebody said something that I think they meant was complimentary, and it just was not the day for it. Like when my dad died, you know, or like when we had to say goodbye to Remy, you know. So like, I totally respect that. Like, I don't expect that all the time, but it bums me out that when I compliment other adults, there's a 50-50 chance that they'll think I'm just trying to get something out of them. Like, I'm sad that we live in that world. I'm trying to help change it, but it's sad that that's the world we're in, you know? Except when you compliment their pets. They love that. Like, they don't see an ulterior motive in that. So maybe that should be my focus, just focusing on complimenting pets. Great dog you got there. What a good boy. Anyway, sorry. It makes me emotional. I do love comics, and I love stories, and I love storytelling, and I wish my path had been different. You know, I think I have a lot to offer, that I am doing the best I can under the circumstances, but I think if I were given the opportunity, I could do so much more with it, you know? And I try not to ever begrudge somebody else their opportunities, you know? We all gotta eat. We all have our hopes and dreams. I just want it for myself, you know? So, you know, one step at a time, except I'm not getting any younger, and I don't forget that ever. Anyway, let me show you guys what I'm working on. So, it's coming along. It's supposed to be kind of shoujo inspired, but really more like oh gosh, Honey and Clover, like Chika Umino kind of shoujo, where it's like very, very delicate shoujo. So, but it's an older piece, and I'm glad I'm finally working on it. I'm glad I'm finally finishing it. And I would really love, like, circling way, way, way back. You know, I would like to be able to sell my original art, like the originals, the actual pieces, in my store, because I think there are people who would like to own original art. And in my current living situation, it's just very difficult to access those pieces. It's difficult to photograph them. It's difficult to list them. So, you know, got to make progress on that house so I can do that. And there's so many other things that I'm looking forward to finally being able to do when we have our own place, that we can make our own, that we can decorate, that we can mess up if we want to. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed going strawberry picking with me. I'm going to edit that into its own video and then see how long that is, and then decide whether I'm going to include it in this vlog or include it as its own thing, the way I did with Bayou Signet. And my brother is super pumped to show you guys different cool places in Louisiana. I keep telling him to write it up so we can like make a schedule and budget for it. So hopefully he'll do that. I'm still deciding whether I want to do that, share that here, or make a sub channel. I will probably make a sub channel with that, just because it's Louisiana related and it's real cool, but it's not art related. But I hope you guys will check that out. And my goal for that is also to make it feel like you're just hanging out with people and not make it like overly formal or overly stuffy. So we'll see. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I still don't know what we're doing for the chill stream. I mean, we got stuff. We're gonna finish with the resin. I unmolded most of the resin. My mom and my aunt are gonna unmold their resin pieces, and we'll have resined it up. But I don't really know what we're gonna do for the rest, because to be frank, I'm just kind of feeling uninspired with the chill streams right now. I'm feeling kind of frustrated by a few things, because like I would like to start at 4. It would be good to promote it, or just any time. Let's pick a set time and always do it at that time is what I want. But my mom will roll in late, like an hour late every time. It doesn't matter what time we say. She's always late, and she's always got good reasons. And I know she's busy, but it's still like hard to plan around and hard to promote and hard to announce it. And starting late just always kind of like, it's hard for me to like be in a good mood and upbeat about it, because it's like I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and then she shows up and then we gotta get started. You know, it's just not the best recording experience for me, but I am grateful that I have people who are willing to participate in this, and I enjoy their company, and I enjoy the insight and the ideas that they bring. COVID has made finding guest stars a challenge, so I appreciate that they're willing to step up and help me out. So I am grateful for that. I don't mean it to sound like I'm always complaining, but like I'm also cognizant that like never starting at a set time and always being late is not a good look either. But yeah, I will see. My phone is dying, and we're at 42 minutes. How do I talk for 42 minutes? Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, good afternoon and happy Monday. I hope you guys enjoyed the trip to the strawberry patch. I sure did. I really look forward to being able to share more of Louisiana life with you guys as the weather warms up and as we get vaccinated and as it's safe to go do things like that. And my younger brother has a boatload of ideas for places to take you guys and things to show you guys, so hopefully we'll be able to do that this summer. We have made some progress on the house hunt. Yay! I'm really excited about that. I've talked about that a whole lot with you guys before, so y'all know why it's important and why it keeps coming up in these vlogs. Having a good workspace is really important to being able to actually make art. As you guys can hear, it is a beautiful day, so everyone's out mowing the lawn. I can't blame them. We just came off of an entire week of rain, so I think people just want to be outside and enjoying the weather. I know I sure do. So today I'm going to work on finishing up a watercolor illustration. I have a new art bag I want to show you guys that I purchased, let's say in hopes of future trips. And we have a chill stream today, and I'm still not 100% sure what we're doing on that chill stream, but I hope to start it at 4:30. So we have a lot to do today and some beautiful weather to do it in, so let's go ahead and get started. Bo's had a very hard day, going outside, eating grass, and taking a nap in the sun. Hey guys, good evening. So I just learned something neat about my phone camera, which is gonna make doing vlogs and videos a little bit easier. If I do this motion, it will actually start recording. So that's pretty neat. I don't have to like do the 1, 2, 3 countdown and then edit it. I just have to do the circle and edit that. Way easier than hitting the button and running. So today was Monday, as you guys know, and it was a busy day. We are making progress on the house, which is exciting. So we have our house inspection and termite inspection on Thursday. I'm glad we're making progress. I guess that's just always me. And I talked about that yesterday. Like, as long as I'm making progress, I don't mind failures. It's when I'm failing and I don't know why and I'm doing it over and over and over again that I really struggle with. So today we were gonna grow crystals, but it turns out we needed a designated not for cooking saucepan, which I don't know about you guys, but I don't have any saucepans that I just keep around because. So I'm gonna have to hit Goodwill and pick up, I'm gonna try to get a very used and abused saucepans. Like something, I don't wanna take away, I don't wanna, you know what I mean? Like if somebody could use it to actually cook and needs it, I don't wanna take it away. But if it's like pretty much trash, then yeah, because we're just using this to grow crystals, and then what? Like, because they're trying to encourage the idea that you don't mix food and chemistry, or rather food and non-edible chemistry, which I 100% respect. I don't mix food and art supplies, so I'm down with that. But it means I gotta go get a ratty old saucepan, which isn't a big deal. It's just the box didn't say you would need that, so I didn't prepare for it, which, ding, those are points off that review. So instead, we did the sand art kit, also from Five Below. It didn't need anything extra, so big points to that. This is the one my aunt did, but my mom, my aunt, and myself each did one. And I don't know if it's because everybody was in a pretty good mood or if it was just genuinely a good kit, but it went well. Not my most popular chill stream, but a very chill, upbeat chill stream, which I am glad for, because the point is, one, to review craft kits of different stripes, and we've done several of them by now, but also to provide a hangout and just to, you know, provide, oh, it's so full of, sorry, it's full of sand, and I've got it on my desk, and I'm like, ah. I mean, I know it's sand art, but it's also like, ah. Anyway, it's to provide company and hanging out and a little bit of social interaction during a time when that is not necessarily super available. So I felt like today's chill stream hit that goal, and I really appreciate it. We also didn't get started at 6, we got started at 5, which is way better than getting started at 6. And we were able to wrap up by 6, which is also good. So we also went ahead and unmolded the resin pieces, and you guys saw these from last week's vlog. You know, I actually really enjoyed the resin. I wasn't feeling good the day we did the resin, but I think if I had been feeling better, I would have really enjoyed it, you know, because like even not being able to give it 100%, even not having the energy I wanted, even not feeling well enough, it still turned out pretty cute. And it wasn't that hard. And I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for perfection, and it still turned out pretty dang cute. So I'm happy about that. And this is the coaster. I think my mom did this one. And look how cute that is. That turned out really good. So I definitely think I'm going to I've got plans already for more resin because I want to do custom knobs. Yes, overly ambitious, I know. I want to do custom knobs for the cabinets when we have our new house, and I want to do like some trays. And Joseph and I have even been talking about putting computer components in resin pieces and putting art supplies in resin pieces. And it's like this perfect zone for crafts for me where it's as hard as you want to make it. It can be very straightforward and simple because this is just clear resin with glitter and a few drops of alcohol ink. It can be very simple, or you can make it something much more elaborate. And I like that in crafts where the limit is what you want to put into it and how much creativity you have. And something else I like is that once you have the molds, the big expense is just the resin itself. So you're not like, maybe I'm very naive and Becca from a year from now will be like, I wish I'd never started that. But it doesn't seem like a super duper expensive craft the way some crafts can be. But yeah, I'm glad we did it. I had a good time, and I think that most of the pieces we made turned out pretty cute. I think the only thing that was just an outright failure were the beads, and the beads are just meant to be a kind of a catch-all for excess resin. There are things I would do differently, you know, like all of these pieces have glitter on the back. I would probably mix some glitter into the because I like the clear resin. It's very when I say flexible, I don't mean flexible. I mean you can do a lot with it. I hate that I'm dropping words. It's very frustrating. It's customizable. It's flexible. It's whatever. Anyway, okay. So like with clear, whatever add-ins you put in can color the resin. So you don't actually have to mix all these different colors of resin. You can just change what you put into that individual item, like dripping in alcohol inks to get colors. And she got some really pretty colors with it. That just really came together. This piece, I'd mixed alcohol inks into the resin, and these are the pearlescent alcohol inks, and this was really cute too. The problem with this is, like, it works if you want to make a bunch of pink pieces or you really want that piece to be pink. But yeah, that was fun. I would do that again. And I ordered a trinket mold for like a trinket box, and I ordered and Kabocha sent me this because she's doing the same thing, and we're good friends, and we're bad for each other because she makes things look so fun. It's this mini mold, and it's supposed to be for like jewelry. It's supposed to look like a watercolor palette, and you're supposed to put resin in it to be the paint. But Kabocha is putting real paint in it, and I'm like, I love it! So I ordered one too. And I'm gonna, because we used to send each other samples of paint, and I was using up a lot of half pans, and this is a cute way. I mean, I'm gonna be using up resin, but it's a cute way to send like a little sample without using up half pans. So I think it's super cute. But yeah, today was a pretty good day. Tomorrow is game night, and I have this like American State Parks game that I bought, but I bought it because it's got the state park posters, and I've always loved the state park posters. And dear Louisiana State Parks, hire me, because I've got ideas already, and I would love to do posters for Louisiana State Parks. But you know, so maybe we'll play that, or there's like another game about recognizing logos that I think is just gonna devolve into Devin and I saying Apple Bapple over and over again, so we'll see. And next week I'm getting my second COVID shot, so I'm ready to have the 5G signals. I'm ready to get the cellular waves. I mean, I do wish it would boost my cell phone reception, but it's not gonna. But it will boost my immunity against COVID-19, which I do appreciate. But yeah, this week is gonna be a lot of house stuff, which is not the worst. I'm excited that we're making progress. I'm looking forward to our new home, and I hope it continues to roll smoothly, but you know, life has a tendency to throw curveballs, so, you know, I'll take it as I can. And I finished this piece today. So, very cute, would make a nice postcard design, but also very simple, you know. Not my most elaborate piece, but I am trying to work through my really old backlog of art and finish things up. So, you know, I feel accomplished, and I am going to share this as a time-lapse tutorial over on Patreon. You guys can see Bo is all snuggled up and cozy. It is 10:30. It's kind of too late for me to start a new task, so, you know, I'm not going to. But it's also kind of too early to go to bed, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll read manga in the bathtub. I don't know. But yeah, it was a pretty good day, and I keep feeling like I have something to do tomorrow, like something important, but I don't think I do. I think my brain is just trying to jump ahead a week, and there's no need for that, brain. It's okay. But yeah, I'm hopeful that there are good things ahead. I mean, the things I said yesterday about depression and anxiety, those continue to be struggles. But for me, it is important to always try to find some point in the future that I can be hopeful about. And maybe, like Joseph was pointing out, you always say XYZ is going to solve your problems. First off, I don't think it's going to solve all my problems. Second off, sometimes it does solve those problems. I was very lonely in Nashville. I'm not as lonely here. That's a problem solved. I was struggling much more with depression in Nashville due to feeling isolated. I don't feel as isolated here. That's a problem solved. It was getting to the point where I felt like my time and talents were not appreciated by some of the people I was working with in Nashville. I feel very valued by the library system here. That's a problem solved. It doesn't solve all my problems, but it does solve some, and it enables me to pick the next point in the future and work towards that. So I don't mean it to sound like, I understand how it kind of comes across, like I'm always picking this thing I can't control and, oh, it's going to solve my problems. I don't think it's going to solve all my problems. I think it will solve some of my problems, and I hope that it will enable me to work on my next set of problems. So when I talk about getting on ADHD medication again, and by that I say ADHD medication because there are a lot of medications that can be beneficial to ADHD that are not your standard Concerta, Ritalin, Vyvanse. And I am open to trying whatever my doctor thinks is actually going to help my specific set of problems. So that's why I say ADHD medication, and I don't just say Ritalin like people use Ritalin as a catch-all term. I'm trying to talk more generically because there are some medications where their side effects in a positive way help with ADHD. So that might be something that I end up pursuing. But I definitely think being able to work on focus and work on motivation and not spending all day just kind of grinding myself, making myself work, being able to just kind of slip into focus faster, I think that's going to help a lot because theoretically, it will help me get my day started sooner, which means I have the option to end my day sooner, which means I have the option to do other things and pursue other interests without feeling guilty. And that alone would be a big deal. So that's kind of why I frame things like that. I don't see anything as a panacea. Owning a home is not a panacea. But having a workspace that I can customize, that I can put things up in, that I can set up a mailing space in, is going to help in a lot of ways. So, I don't intend to make it sound like Pollyanna, where it's like, this is just going to fix everything, because that's a very naive view of the world. But it is important to try to be hopeful, especially if you're like me and you tend to be a little pessimistic. Your brain just naturally goes a little pessimistic. It naturally goes worst case Ontario. It naturally tries to find the worst thing and then problem solve for that because everything else is cake. It is important to find good things that you're looking forward to, and that will brighten your life, even if it's just a little bit, and kind of work towards those things. Otherwise, you're just working towards nothing. And when you are in my situation, where you are currently self-employed, you don't have a whole lot of gigs going on, your channel is basically a stagnant puddle in a Walmart parking lot, you don't have a lot necessarily that you feel like is going for you. It's really important to pick things that do make you excited, and they do make you feel upbeat, and they do make you feel confident and like there's something good for you in the world. Because it's very easy to see all the 1 million ways you didn't reach your goal, you're just not good enough, whatever, and let that stop you. So that's my way of coping with where my life is, and it's also my way of coping without lying to other people and pretending like my life is something it's not, or is better than it is, or that I am further along on my journey than I am. So, I think it's very easy to misunderstand that, which is why I'm taking a minute to just kind of explain. I'm a much more realistic person than that probably makes me sound, and I don't regret moving back. Like I had said for years, I can't do Nashville anymore. This is killing me. I hate it here. I hate myself. I want out. And I don't regret moving, and I do genuinely feel like my life got better when I left. There are friends I really miss, people who I love and wish I could see, but we probably couldn't see each other a whole lot during COVID anyway. And I'm really hopeful that, you know, once COVID we've progressed, you know, I don't pretend to know what the future is going to look like, but, you know, I do think in 5 years we're going to be beyond COVID, whether we're getting vaccinations once a year or we're still wearing masks or whatever. I believe we're going to be doing something different, okay? And I have to be hopeful about it, because to not be hopeful, well, I'm 35, and in 5 years, if COVID is not something we have better control over, I'm going to be 40 and not have much to show for it. So I have to hope that things are going to get better, because otherwise I would throw in the towel. And but I do miss those friends. But how I felt in Nashville and how I felt like my life was going, like, even if things had turned around, I feel like I had spent so many years there really struggling that it was kind of poisoned for me. So I needed more of like a fresh start, just as a chance to kind of like wipe my own slate clean. And I'm sure there are people with the mental fortitude, with the ability to just decide they're going to do that and nothing else has to change, but they're on a new slate. And I've tried doing that, and it worked to an extent, but I couldn't 100% overcome it. And there probably are people who can. I'm not one of them. And part of this journey in life that I'm on is kind of understanding what my limitations are and being more easygoing with myself, being more forgiving. I'm trying to treat myself like a friend, and I try to reflect that in how I talk about myself when I'm talking to y'all. I try to reflect that in who I talk to online. Like, if people are sending me like bad news and it isn't like legit, like, hey, you messed up with XYZ, and, you know, like something real. It's just like, I don't like how you draw, and I think you're full of yourself. Not necessarily dedicating time to those people and trying to argue with or apologize to or I don't know what with those people. Just like, okay, acknowledged, out of my life. Because, and I think I've talked about this before, you know, I used to treat myself like a horse that I could just whip and whip and whip and whip, and I would always get more out of her. And then there was a point where I wasn't getting anything more out of her, and it didn't matter how much I whipped that horse, she could not run. So now I'm trying to be friends with the horse, because at least she will trot when I'm friends with her, and a trot is better than nothing. So it's probably like a terrible analogy that is just confusing for people, but you know, that is how I actually think about myself. So I think of myself as like a little workhorse who's doing the best she can, and sometimes she just can't carry the load anymore. And if she's not strong enough to carry the load, beating her and abusing her and verbally and mentally abusing her isn't gonna get her to carry the load. She just will refuse to work, period. So it's kind of learning to work with my limitations and forgive myself. And it's frustrating because even though I'm in this process of learning to work with my limitations, other people are not necessarily respectful of that. And these are not necessarily people who are paying me to work. So it's not like they have this right to expect XYZ out of me. It's just they think that if they can do it, I should be able to do it, and that is how it is. And we're all made differently. So learning to respect other people's limitations and believing other people when they honestly are like, look, I just can't, or I can't do this now, or ask me again XYZ when I have the brain space. That's important, and I think that is a skill that is probably not taught, but it's very important to working with people and getting the best out of people, whether you're teaching or you're managing or you're organizing an anthology. And then, you know, sometimes you just have to be like, well, this is our deadline, and if you can't meet it, then we're unfortunately going to have to cut you and invite someone else. And that's fair, that's business. But it's better than just like being condescending and kind of abusive to somebody. Not that I've faced that problem. I'm pretty good with time management, but it is a understandable example. So anyway, I think it's a good time to call it a night because I still have to finish editing yesterday's video and then edit this video. And that takes time, and I don't like being up till 2 editing videos. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I hope you guys are having a good week. See you tomorrow. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. The weather today is gorgeous outside. It is just cool enough to make doing things outside really a joy. So I'm actually going to do that. I have a package from Moo of postcards that I want to show you guys. I need to send postcards off, and today I'm focusing on coloring book companies, and I have a new art bag that I wanted to show you guys. So we have a whole day ahead of us and so much to do. Let's dive in and get started. Alright, so let's start with unpackaging the package from Moo. It came in a flat rate mailer. That seems to be their new modus operandi. Maybe it's just cheaper than the boxes they were using. These are flat rate envelopes, so you do pay one price for them. Alright, so I ordered some new labels because I'm running out of these. So, some new labels for my postcards that include, you know, my vitals. And I also ordered some new postcards, and these are more coloring book specific. So rather than focusing on my watercolor or my comic art, these focus on the line arts themselves. Oh, I always have this problem with Moo. Dang it. So one of the bummers with this is on my computer screen, well, this one seems to be the biggest offender. So on my computer screen, you can't see the graphite at all, but on the print, you actually can see the undersketch graphite, which, you know, when you're applying to companies to show that you can do line art, it's not really something you want them to see. Another sort of offender is this one, which is a shame because these are really cute. You know, I should have done uncoated because then I could send them out to patrons as like coloring postcards. That would have been a cute idea. But those seem to be the only problems. And what's frustrating about this is these were all color adjusted on the same computer at the same time. And none of the other images, and I'll show you guys in a second, none of these other images have those issues. So, I mean, it's frustrating, especially because that monitor is color corrected. So I should be able to see problems like that. And especially since I have now corrected my eyeballs with glasses, I should be able to catch problems on that end as well. But it's 2 designs out of 6 total that are just not really the best. Joseph likes to write letters and send postcards, so I think I'll set these aside and we'll use them. We just won't use them to send off to editors. It's just kind of a bummer because, like I said, these were all corrected at the same time. So realistically, they shouldn't have, and they came from the same batch. So I don't know. I think I'm the error, and I'm just kind of frustrated that I didn't catch it. I also reordered some of my comic specific postcards to send out, since really, really, truly, that's what I want to do is kids comics. While I love line art and I love illustration, comics is really my passion. So at least I can get back to work sending out postcards. I've got some coloring book companies to, Bowie's outside, he's making the I smell the wind face. I've got some coloring book companies that I want to send postcards out today, to do today. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm hoping I'll hear back. That would be a really fun job. I think that's something I could be really good at, and I certainly would enjoy doing it. And I can always do the line arts digital if they don't want traditional files. Like if they want scalable files, I can do them in Clip Studio Paint. So that is the first of 2 things I want to show you guys. Let me go grab the other one. Okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, so here on the channel, over the years, I've talked about a few different art bags that are useful as a purse or a satchel, as well as for art. And I just always seem to struggle to find the right one because honestly, my needs change over time. And what I brought with me to Japan in 2012 is not what I brought with me to Japan in 2018, and it's not going to be what I bring with me to Japan in 2020. So let's call this my 2020 Japan trip bag. We were supposed to go for a honeymoon, but COVID, so you know, we are waiting for a miracle. We're waiting for something, some unknown thing. Half vaccinated, so next week get the rest of that vaccination. I am really proud of everyone who's really pulled out all the stops to go out and get vaccinated. That is a wonderful thing, and I am so proud of everyone who's really just trying to push forward to the future, especially because there are going to be people who cannot get vaccinated, just as there are kids who cannot get vaccinated for, you know, measles, mumps, and rubella. So it's really important for us who can to do so to protect them. But anyway, this is my Japan trip 2022 bag. So what I am looking for when I'm looking for a travel bag is I'm looking for something that is light enough and comfortable enough and not super big and bulky. I don't want to carry a backpack. I don't want to carry something I might bump into people with. So something that can hold everything but doesn't take up a lot of space. And I think this one is going to be a good fit. So this is a Tumi bag. We got it from Nordstrom Rack during one of their sales, so we got it for a pretty good price. This is a heavy duty, it looks like a nylon bag. When Joseph unwrapped it, there was paper inside, and there was also paper covering the metal toggles just to kind of protect it. It is meant to be a side satchel bag. It has an adjustable strap. Something I would like to see is like a padded area here. I don't blame them for not doing it. I just overload all my purses and bags. And one of the issues you guys might have noticed when we went to the berry patch is that my bags have a tendency to like sling. So it would be nice to have a side satchel bag that I could tighten really tight and wear it as like a hip bag, which you guys can't see, or have it real tight under my arm so it's just not going anywhere. And the black leather purse that I use for almost everything, I can't do that with that. So this has multiple compartments. It also has an identification tag. And I have mixed feelings about identification tags. I like this one because it actually covers your identification unless someone needs to see it. And the leather seems to be pleather on here. Now, one of the reasons I like a covered identification tag is one time at the airport, I was sitting minding my own business. I had my backpack with an identification tag that was like neon green, but you could still see the address if you look closely enough. Was just minding my own business. A couple days later, I get a message from a married guy on Facebook who thought, I guess, I was beautiful or something, and he got my info from my luggage tag. He hadn't even talked to me, didn't even know anything about me. And this guy had a 2-year-old daughter and was married, and it was just like, you would throw that away for some random girl you didn't even talk to at the airport. So just the idea of my identifying information being so accessible to someone who won't even talk to me is creepy. So I like that there is an identification tag, but it's covered, and you can choose not to fill it out. It has a front pocket flap, which it's going to be a little challenging to show you guys. Has loads of pockets inside, so it's perfect to put like a battery backup if you're in Japan and you're renting a travel router, your cell phone, and then you still got lots of room if you want to bring a pencil case or something like that that you need immediately. These are not actually individual loops. I thought they would be. I thought that would be kind of cool because then you could attach carbiners and stuff. This down here is an individual loop. And there's a protective tag here that it's like a zipper stop. You could loop something through that and on here too if you wanted to. There's also a zipper pocket right here in the front, which it's really just a key pocket, and it's got a little key fob here. But I mean, you don't have to put keys on there. And there's also like a Tumi identification number. I guess you can register your bag if that is a thing that's important to you. It seems very solidly built. There is a largish back pocket that doesn't really have anything identifiable in it other than its line, which is nice. And the retail cost for this, y'all, the retail cost for this is stupid. We did not pay this. They want $275 for this full price. Joseph, what did we pay for this? Do you know? It was like $16, $17. No, it wasn't like 70.
Yeah.
No.
That's after 25% discount.
Dang. Are you sure?
It was pretty awesome.
I'll keep looking at the back. Look, no matter how great this bag is or isn't, I wouldn't pay $275 ever full price for a bag, especially not a bag that is probably going to get wet, is probably going to get food on it, is going to travel with me. That's not my jam. I'm definitely like a TJ Maxx shopper. So please don't take this as me pushing, spend a bunch of money on a bag. We happen to shop Retail Me Not. We happen to shop Nordstrom Rack. We happen to go to TJ Maxx and Marshalls a lot. And if you're willing and happy to carry last season's goods like I am, you can find some really good deals. All right, so, when I saw that price tag, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So there is one large zipper pocket. It has 2 zippers. So you could do the old middle zipper thing and just unzip from one side if you want, or totally unzip. And it has kind of a gusseted bottom, so it's got a wider bottom. So it can 85. Is that with the 25% off? Yeah. Dang. I really gotta use the heck out of this thing then. It's well built, I'll give it that. And to be fair, if I get, when it comes to purses and backpacks, like I have the same JanSport backpack that I got at Marshall's 15 years ago now, and I still use the heck out of it because it is the bag of holding. It holds so, I have not found another backpack that holds as much stuff as that backpack holds. So, when you find something you like, and you use it a lot, it makes it worth it. But I still wouldn't pay $275. Like, no. All right, so we have this pocket. You can actually fold the back down if you want to kind of make it a little more accessible. And it's got 2 major pockets here, which could be good for like a pencil case, your watercolor roll, your watercolor palette. And then it's got just kind of this body area, which is great for sketchbooks and things. And then it's got another interior pocket, which is, it's just kind of a nondescript interior pocket. There's nothing dividing it. It's not made of like particularly thick material. And that could be good, I guess, to hold maybe like your passport, things like that. And of course, there's loads of branding on this. So the way I would probably set this up, and you guys I'll bring y'all with us in spirit when we go to Japan again. But the way I would set this up is like probably this front pocket, maybe small coins, like 100 yen coins, things like that, things that you use a lot. And maybe like my ice card and like my transportation stuff. In this front pocket here, it would be stuff I need to access often. So my cell phone, my battery backup, and I've talked about wanting to get one of those travel routers so that, we're not like scrambling for a Starbucks when we need internet. So that would go in here, and maybe like a small dry media sketchbook and a couple pencils and a couple pens. Keep it light for just like quick grabs. Then in here, I would put my passport and probably like maybe a watercolor sketchbook, and have mostly my watercolor stuff in here. And then in the back pocket, I would probably have my, like my larger sketchbook. I think I could probably fit a 12 by 9 sketchbook in this back pocket pretty comfortably. If you have a side spiral sketchbook, not so much. But honestly, if you're traveling in Japan, half the joy of traveling in Japan is hitting up an art supply shop and picking up some cool new stationery for half the price it would cost in the US. So, you can find something that fits your bag. But this is definitely, so I had one of those while in Japan. Last time I ended up buying like a Lahit scissor bag. So it's meant to be worn as kind of like a fanny pack, but you can also wear it as like a side bag. And it was great for carrying my wallet, my phone, my passport, my battery backup, but I couldn't put anything else in it other than a super tiny notebook. So this is definitely a good mix between the two of, you know, not so huge that I'm bringing like a big backpack of stuff everywhere I go, which you might think you're gonna do that, but in a place as dense as like Tokyo, you're gonna annoy the heck out of everybody, and you're gonna annoy the heck out of yourself. So it's really better to have like smaller crossbody bags. Like while we were there, I also sometimes I have this larger Victorinox saddlebag. It's meant to be for like laptops, but it works well for sketchbooks. But even that got kind of bulky. So it's oh, this will fit my gimbal as well. So, you know, it's good to find something that is a bag of holding. It will hold a surprisingly large amount of stuff, but doesn't add additional bulk. It doesn't necessarily weigh you down, and doesn't just scream like, I'm a tourist, pickpocket me, because depending on where you are, you're gonna stand out enough. You don't need to stand out more. But I seriously thought we paid like 17 to 30 for this. So like, whew, I gotta use this thing like all the time. So, but I think it's well made, and I think it is going to stand up to the test of time. And I look forward to bringing it out on my next day excursion. And another thing that's nice about it is this is actually more weather resistant than my Lahit bag. That bag is not meant to be worn out in the rain, and we got caught in the rain a few times. This is something that is less likely to, the materials inside are going to get damaged or get affected by the rain with this bag. So those are the things I wanted to show you guys. Next, I want to work on postcards, and I lost my postcard buddy, my cafe buddy. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go get a mocha granita, come back home, and sit out here on this beautiful porch on this beautiful day and do some postcards at home. So if you guys have any of those like mundane-ish tasks that need to get done and you need some company, why don't you grab those and we'll do them together. I just want to demonstrate. So it's real low now, but I'm also real short. So this would be like side satchel bag. If I'm traveling, I actually want it higher, because that way if I bend down to pick something up, it's not gonna swing and hit me and cause me to fall off balance, which my fellow person bag carriers know happens not infrequently. So something high like this, you know, it does ruin the line of the body, but it's more convenient for actually grabbing stuff when you're in a travel situation. And you can also kind of keep it closer to your body and keep it closer to you. You're not like leaning down to hold it close. You can just hold it like this if you're in a situation where you think you're likely to get purse snatched or pickpocketed. Chloe, it's a beautiful day outside, isn't it? Good day to sun. All the bees are out too. Doing postcards has kind of become a really nice weekly ritual that lets me feel like, or empowers me to feel like, I'm doing something productive in my life. I'm taking control of something that often feels very out of my own hands. So my materials are, I've got a list of coloring book companies, their addresses, and who the contact agent is. I've got my special coloring book postcards. I've got a highlighter, which helps me kind of stay on task and stay focused on which line I'm actually on. I have my labels that have my vital contact information, and I've got a roll of postcard stamps. And generally my goal is to just do 20 of them and then call it a day. Last week, so the week before last, I actually did 53. I ended up going through finishing off my whole list. So the week after that, I ended up just using Tuesday to work on chapter 9 of 7-inch Kara. But it's nice to have this kind of like designated office work productivity slot, especially because someone like me, I tend to put those things off if they're not immediate, in favor of things that are more fun, like painting and drawing. But this is important, and I've tried doing it every other way, and it hasn't necessarily worked for me, especially without conventions and being able to meet people in person. So I guess there's just, you just put the time in and do it. Hey guys, join us at 4 p.m. CST tomorrow afternoon for the Sakuraco May unboxing. I think this box is supposed to be full of delicious mochi treats, so join us as we taste test flavors of Japan, try a delicious tea, and talk about the goodies that Sakuraco has in the May box. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys then over at youtube.com/natosoup. Hey guys, so as we were leaving to drive to Luling, the Sakuraco box came in, which usually I like to do it the night or the day it comes in, but we'd already had plans. It really just wasn't feasible to do both and do both well. So we're gonna do it tomorrow, but that's one of the downsides, I guess, with these subscription boxes is they don't come in like, they email you, but it could be anywhere from a couple days to like a week to 2 weeks. Like, the time range for overseas boxes is huge. But if the Sakura, and also it's like still April, it's the 20th. I'm like looking at the count because I'm like, this is for the May box, I think. And the April box came in early in March. It came in on the 26th. So you get what I'm saying, like, it's these boxes, and I'm lumping these boxes because it was a thing with Zenpop. It's sometimes a thing with Inku Crate. It seems to be a thing with Sakuraco, and I don't blame them. I mean, they're dealing with a lot, right? Like, I know with COVID, international shipping has changed. I know international shipping prices have gone up. I know there have been all kinds of crazy delays in shipping time from Asian countries. So like, this is not at all me complaining about them. They are just trying to get the box out in a timely fashion so you get the box roughly in the month or before, and I appreciate that. I'm more complaining, if I'm complaining at all, as someone who does YouTube stuff, just like it's hard to plan around it when you don't know when it's gonna come in. So yeah, usually I like to do it the day it comes in, but we'll do it tomorrow. We have plans for tomorrow also, so you know, I don't think people talk about this a whole lot, but it is legit difficult to do YouTube and have a life, and I am like a nobody YouTuber that is not important. I don't have like this massive following that's relying on me to do things on certain days. My income does not really come from YouTube. So I can only imagine how much more challenging it is for people who are income reliant on YouTube or on Twitch, trying to juggle those obligations and also having a life. I mean, you'd have to draw some pretty firm boundaries, because otherwise it just creeps into every aspect of your life. And I'm sure some people have just accepted that, and they don't have a life outside of Twitch and YouTube right now. I know even with web comics, it becomes this all-consuming time. If you don't have a big enough buffer, it can just eat your life if you are not very specific about what you want your boundaries to be. And this is not a judgment call. I mean, I've seen people who have done comics forever and they know what they're doing get eaten by this. I've seen people who are brand new to comics somehow manage to, because a lot of it boils down to how long does it take you to make your comic, and as you get better, you can either get faster, or you can kind of get slower, or you can get faster but your timeline stays the same. When I'm painting comics, I kind of fall into that, where my pages are much more detailed, but they take about as much time as they used to take. But now we're in Louisiana with crazy humidity, so who even knows? But trying to find that work-life balance has been something I've been struggling to do, and I think I have improved. In fact, sometimes I think I err on the side of I might play a little too much, but I justify that as I spent all my time in Savannah and almost all my time in Nashville just working, because in Savannah I was in grad school and that's what you do. And I did have some fun hanging out with artist friends in Savannah. I don't want to make it sound like I never got to have fun, but I was there for school, so I was very work focused. And then in Nashville, I just had a harder time connecting with people and meeting people I felt like I could connect with. And that's, again, I'm not saying I never met any. I'm just saying over the years I was there, I didn't necessarily connect with as many people as I normally would. So instead of having designated social time, it was just where I would just fill it with work until that's all I did, and my whole personality revolved around that. So it's interesting kind of learning how I want to, because in the end I'm self-employed for the most part. In the end, I get to decide how I want that work-life balance to be, and it is really important to have social time and to have time outside and to have time where I'm not necessarily working, because for me that's often where the most inspiration comes from, is those in-between times, like going to the strawberry patch and just being surrounded by things that I think are pretty, even if it was muddy, and looking at all the berries and thinking about things that I enjoy, because so much of that gets filtered into the work I make. And I feel like in volume 2, and I'm not trying to prejudice anyone's reading of it, but I feel like in volume 2 I really struggled with that, because I was having a hard time with depression, and I wasn't getting out enough, and I wasn't getting enough external stimuli to actually fill the tanks often enough. And I feel like you can tell because of that. And one of the ways I'm trying to deal with that, I feel like I have a couple of options. One, I can get really depressed that volume 2, in my opinion, is not as strong as I think it should be. Or I can just resolve to make volume 3 even better. And that's the route I'm trying to take, is just make volume 3 really, really good. Because, I know people, I've had friends who are the kind of webcomic artists where they will redo things over and over and over again, trying to get it perfect. They might redo chapter 1 20 times. I respect their choice to do that, That is not, I decided I wanted to just finish works and then just, once that work is done, just move on and use what I learned in the next work. I'm not going to say whether one way is better or the other, but I think that way is better for me and for my sanity and for me to make progress. So it's really about what works for you. And I'm trying to be very careful because in the past, when I have said I don't go back and redo chapters once they're done, I might add pages, and you know, when I'm compiling them into a book, I might adjust a few things. I'm like, I wouldn't redo an entire chapter, right? I've had people act like I had attacked them when that wasn't my intention. I was just talking about me and my workflow. So I try to make it real clear, like, if it works for you, I totally respect your decision to work the way that works for you, because like I saw this on Twitter, and I've said this to you guys before, like, I try not to be one of those channels that says never do or always do, because art is such a personal expression. Art and comics and illustration are such personal expressions of self. Like, unless you're working for a company and the company Bible says we don't do this workflow, then obviously you don't do that workflow. You follow the production Bible that company has created, or your AD wants you to follow, or whatever. It's just part of being a good art employee. But I try not to tell people never do, because for every never do, there's a glaring example of the exception that works wonderfully. So it's really about finding the series of things that work best for you, that make you happiest, that are healthiest for you, and that will change over time. And I think that's where I kind of struggle, is that the things that used to be very easy for me in my 20s for whatever reason are not necessarily as easy now, but now there are other tasks that are easier for me that were not easy in my 20s. So it's about finding a workflow that works for who you are, where you are, and if that changes week to week, then that changes week to week. If that changes once every 10 years, then it changes once every 10 years. And I think if we can just be more accepting of ourselves and not try to hold I think people love the idea of gurus. Like, you get people who emulate things that Steve Jobs did because it's Steve Jobs. And, you know, on the one hand, like, I understand doing things that someone you admire does. There are things that Naoki Urasawa does that I try to emulate, not because I think it's going to make me like him, but because I think they're good practices. But even if you are emulating things because you think it will make you like that person, I mean, that's your choice to do that. I'm not here to yuck your yum. But like, the notion of guru, someone who has like all the answers, and if you just do what they say, it'll work out for you, has never been a concept I have ever liked. Even when teachers say, if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll get this result, I would do it, and it wouldn't always turn out that way. So, I'm not a big guru person. I'm not a big prescribed application person. Even when I'm doing tutorials, I really encourage you to try your own things and try your own way. For me, that experimentation is what made things stick the most. So, I'm not a big guru, and that does not read well online. The internet likes lists. The internet likes 10 easy steps to XYZ, 10 easy steps to creativity, 3 morning routines to help you become a creative person. They like these prescriptive, very reduced things. These are things that have been stripped of a lot of their meaning. They've been stripped of most of their context, and I don't like that. I've never liked that kind of stuff. Whereas I think experimenting and playing and finding your vibe and finding what you like is gonna lead to overall like a much better art life, a much better creative life in general. But that is not that saleable, because you're just giving advice if you find yourself, and that's so vague. And I also respect that is so vague. So it's important to kind of find that middle ground. So my middle ground for that is talking about what works for me, and that way I feel like I am being as fair with it as possible, because every situation in life is your mileage may vary. You know, when I was in high school, we were basically told that if you just have a degree in anything, you can find a job. Maybe not a job in anything, but there'll be someone willing to hire you. But I graduated during the recession, so that is not true. So, okay, I went to grad school because I didn't feel like I got the art background I wanted from my undergrad, and I wanted to draw comics, and I wanted more of a background. I had taken creative writing classes, and I had taken drawing classes, and my major was in art, but I wanted more. So I went to grad school, and when I was at SCAD, they said, if you have an MFA in sequential art, you can teach K through 12. And that turned out not to be true. So, and it was hard because I watched a lot of people I went to school with basically fly, succeed, and that's wonderful. Like, I'm not negating their successes, but it was hard for me because I always felt like, well, I did the things you're supposed to do, but they didn't work out. So it's through that lens that I kind of see the world. Like, I'm not trying to put other people down, but my art career has been very interesting because I've done a lot of freelance, and I've worked for a lot of different people in different companies, and I've done a lot of conventions, and I've done a lot of teaching, and I've done a lot of anthologies, and I've done a lot of grassroots things, and I've organized a bunch of things, but none of that is the sort of stuff that companies are that impressed by. You know, I do a lot of tutorials, but people don't remember the name of the person who taught them how to do XYZ because they were just Googling how to draw hands. They're not going to remember that person's name. So yeah, like, that is an example of, you know, that's what I did. Would I recommend it? I mean, if you feel it's a vocation for you, then you can't argue with a vocation. It's always going to be in your heart. It's always going to be in your mind. It's going to be part of your core driving focus. You can fight it and you'll be miserable. You can do it and you'll be miserable. So, I feel like, so it's actually 11:30. It's pretty late. I have been painting for some of the day. I've been working for some of the day, so I'm pretty tired. And I like these evening chats that just kind of get a little rambly. I'm never really 100% sure where they're going to go because I feel like it's easier for me to just kind of loosen up and talk to y'all. Whereas it's sometimes harder for me to do that during the day. Maybe because I'm trying to focus on the work in front of me. Maybe because, I don't know, I've been having exhaustion issues. So, you know, I don't know. But see, now that I'm exhausted, I've got plenty to talk about. And I would really like it if you guys sent me questions. If you have any, if there's any that I can answer. It can be about my work. It can be about techniques. It could be about teaching. It could be stories about conventions. Like, throw some prompts at me because I'd really like to talk about things that y'all are interested in talking about. I just want to know what y'all want to know, and I think if you guys sent me some prompts, it would be easier for me to do that. So please do in the comments or over on the paint box. And some very kind folks have sent me a few emails with questions, and I do need to get on that. I keep thinking, like, I'm gonna make a concerted video about that topic, and then I just get swept away with other work. So maybe I need to just do a vlog about those topics, and that way it's handled, it's addressed. It's not like I've forgotten them, and then if people are really interested, I could turn it into a standalone video kind of thing. Maybe something like that. So, I am pretty tired. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. I definitely at least need to get a glass of water because my throat's pretty sore. Bowie is always asleep in the background. I really appreciate him coming and hanging out with me because it gets kind of lonely in here. I have a computer monitor to keep me company, so I watch loads of other YouTube to keep me company. And that somebody commented on my How to Draw Hands video that I should stop shouting. And man, like, I'm a loud person. Like, that should be caveat number one. If I do a channel trailer, it should just be like, okay, turn your volume down because I'm just loud. I don't mean to be shouting or yelling or loud. As I get excited about things, my voice tends to raise. That's just how I've always been. Because unfortunately, I've tried to change it, and it's kind of part of who I am. So you know, like with anything that people, that isn't necessarily inherently a flaw, but other people see as a flaw, or it's annoying to them personally, it's something I butt my head up against. And, you know, I think it's just about people learning to accommodate each other and understand each other and kind of respect each other's differences. So, while I don't ever try to shout, and I'm sorry if it comes across that way, I would just recommend turning the volume down just a scooch, because I also, when I'm mixing the audio, it does tend to, even the music, even though it's at 3%, it can sometimes be kind of loud. So I think I just mix on the louder end. I mix at the same volume I listen to music too. So, like, if you're used to ASMR channels, if you're used to people who talk very quietly, if you're used to people who are sending their audio out to somebody else to clean it up, then yeah, I know this is like nails on a chalkboard, and I'm sorry. That's how it is. Like, that's a core part of who I am, unfortunately, or fortunately. You know, one of the things that when people work with me in person, whether I'm teaching classes or I'm at a convention or I'm doing a pitch, is they usually like my energy. So it's definitely a mixed bag, you know, and a lot of other artists are kind of more introverted people. Many of them are more quiet people. So I am probably like a bucket of cold water compared to some of them. And I get that. But again, it boils down to who I am and my personality. So while it's something I'll try to be more mindful of, because I don't ever want, I really don't want you guys to feel like hanging out with me is frustrating or a chore or annoying, or, you know, I don't want to like be unwelcoming. I don't want to be a bad hostess. And I certainly wouldn't want my tutorials to put somebody off of something. That's the last thing I would want. I know it's just one person, but I do take what you guys tell me seriously. I do think about it. I do consider it. I do check back to see if it's a complaint, if there's something wrong with what I'm doing. I do actually rewatch it to see if there's something I can learn from that. So I'm not over here trying to just be defensive, but I also do think the internet creates, and I talk about this a lot because I think it's really interesting. I first started using the internet at 13, 14. The internet had been in existence for like in common use for about 10 years before that, maybe less, or rather, yeah, maybe less. So the internet might have been a common use thing since I was 10, and it has changed. I'm not talking like BBSs. I'm talking like most homes have internet. It has changed so much in that time period, and it's really interesting to see how people talk to each other has changed. In some ways it has devolved. It's really interesting to see how people's relationships to one another online have changed. In some ways with social media, they have devolved because social media doesn't really, it wants to make money off your content, but it doesn't, social media, and I'm including YouTube, doesn't really care about you as an individual. They care about your, or you as necessarily like at Natto Soup, like my handle. Like, they don't care about Natto Soup. But if I have tweets that go viral on occasion, they care about that. So they care about the content that brings them money as a whole, but they don't necessarily care about the individual creators who are creating that content. And that means what gets promoted and how it gets promoted and what gets shown to more people is often stuff that is antisocial. And when I say antisocial, what I mean is that it is posts and tweets that in the context they are presented in, which is usually with no context, it has a detrimental effect on social relationships. So it's very, and I'm not going to pretend like the internet used to be perfect, because it wasn't. It was just different, and it moved at a slower pace, and it had lower production values. And I think it was a lot more just regular people sharing the stuff that they cared about, regardless of whether they made money from it or not. And I think current internet has pushed a lot of those smaller niche individuals out or onto like niche islands of the internet. and has kind of made it harder for individuals. Like, let's talk about webcomics, okay? Back in the day, if you had a webcomic, you absolutely had to have your own website. I mean, you could find people to host you, but if you really wanted to be successful, you kind of needed your own website. And you also need to be part of a web ring or a webcomic ring with other comic artists, and you'd all link each other. So that's how people would find out about new comics. They would click the little keen spot, drop down menu, and they'd find new comics that way. That's how I found new comics. Now, most people discover comics via Tapastic or Webtoon. So you're posting your comic on their site. They're making the bulk of the money off your content and everybody else's content, and they're not necessarily driving people to your comic unless you're very popular and you're already making them money, but they still want you to post so that they can boast that they have all these people posting on the site. And I have friends who really like it. They do really well on it. This isn't a slam on the system, but I think it's important to understand how the system works, so that way you can kind of take care of yourself and you can make the best decision. You absolutely do not have to use Tapastic if you don't want to. I don't want to. I don't use it. I don't want to have to reformat my comic for it. But since so many comics are now being posted on these mega sites like Tapastic, it is harder to drive traffic to your personal site where you're hosting your comic. And your avenues for driving traffic to that site are becoming increasingly rigid and codified. It's not as organic as it used to be, and it's a lot harder to do that. And it's frustrating, but I also think it's interesting because it has changed so much, and I'm curious. I really hope it doesn't become more, when I say fossilized, I mean like rigid, I mean like stuck in stone, I mean narrower and narrower and narrower, calcified is really the word, narrower pathways where only a very select few can actually make it. I would like to see it branch out more and there be more options. And of course, Tapastic is making a bunch of money because they're making a bunch of money on the notion that people think they are the only place to read webcomics. So they are going to lean in hard on that. And the creators who make their bread and butter on Tapastic are probably going to not really say anything otherwise, and I don't blame them, that this is their livelihood, and it's hard to make a livelihood in art, especially in comics, especially in self-publishing. But it basically drowns out all the other voices. And yes, I do have the option to post on Tapastic. I could do that. I could try to fight in their fight, but for me, then I'm helping me, but I'm not doing anything to kind of normalize just individuals having their comics on their own sites and doing things at their own pace and doing things in their own format. So how things become homogenized and codified and kind of rigid, even though there's no real reason for that to be that way other than that's the trend. And as more people see the trend, they think the trend is the norm, and then they go and they try to police other people who do not fit the trend, and then you end up either having people giving into the trend, ostracized because they don't, or just dropping off the mat because they don't want to play the game. And I've just seen too many comic and webcomic friends decide that they're just done with comics because of that, to give up now. You know, like it's a shame, and I wish I could fix it for them, and I can't even fix it for me other than just kind of sticking around and doing my own thing. And to me, that's my way of like fighting the good fight. So it ties in with identity for me, and like for so much of my life I was the loud, annoying little girl who ate lunch by herself, you know? And that's kind of really colored who I am as an adult, in that I try to be as welcoming to people who are ostracized as possible. I try to be really kind to other people. I try not to pass judgments on people based on who they are. I try to be everything I wish people had been to me when I was younger, but there's still like that core that is still vulnerable to that kind of stuff. And it's something I'm working on, but it's something I struggle with, so it's something I'm sensitive about, so it's something I am already kind of working on, but I am sure I will make mistakes from time to time, and it's just something I'm gonna have to keep working on. I mean, we all have things that we're not there yet, that we need to work on. Whether it's thinking unkind thoughts about people when they get something we wish we had, whether it's leaving mean YouTube comments when you have a bad day, because I've definitely gotten some of those as well, or whether it's hate watching people, which I think is nuts, because wow, that is a lot of energy to put out on somebody. That's a lot of time to spend on someone you don't like, but there are people who do that. We've all got stuff to work on, and I definitely need to work on my self-control when it comes to voice modulation. But I also need to work on being able to look critically at a situation and determine whether or not it actually needs that remedy. And as artists, we get a lot of unsolicited critique. I'm taking this away from YouTube, but if you are making videos for YouTube, you are an artist in that sense as well. But as artists, we get a lot of unsolicited critique, and one of the things that is difficult to learn as an artist, if you don't have a background in this, if you don't have people supporting this and teaching this and talking to you about this, which is one of the reasons I'm bringing this up here, is learning how to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to critique. And usually one of the big things is, did you solicit it? So there are people who believe you should accept any critique whatsoever, unsolicited, solicited, you should be open to all of it. That is actually really, really unhealthy, because there are going to be bad faith actors out there. Not everyone, but you can't always tell, especially with the internet, when it's somebody you don't know telling you this. There are going to be bad faith actors out there who want to see you quit, they're not really vibing with what you're writing, with your comic content. They don't like the pairings you put in the comics, and they want you to change it, so they're going to tell you stuff to try to get you to change it. But it's your comic. You can decide what to do with it. There are going to be people who want to just watch you suffer and eat yourself alive, and you can't always tell who those people are, especially online. I mean, like, if it were on Twitter, like, it's like, what, 240 characters? You can't necessarily tell who's someone who quietly enjoys your work, and this is their one issue with their work, and they want to let you know, because otherwise they really like it, but this is really hurting them, you know? Or if it's somebody who, like, has watched one or read one thing you've done, and that's all they know about you, and they're just making a judgment about everything you make based on that one thing. Or if there's somebody who, like, avidly hate watches you and has figured out your weakness, and they're going to take that little snipe. So it is important to be able to look at criticism, especially when it's unsolicited, and comments are often the land of unsolicited criticism, to take that and either decide to be able to let it go and throw it away and not let it bother you, or to take it and really think about it and examine yourself and then utilize it, or, hey, that is a really valid critique. I do need to draw more backgrounds. I'm going to make it a point to do that in the future. So there's basically like three major categories of critique. There's just the utterly useless, whether it's baseless or it's counter to what your end goal is, or it's mean-spirited. There's the, this is something I want to work on in the future. This is a long-term goal, but it's not going to change right away. So that could be changing personality quirks. That could be changing, like doing your makeup differently if that's something you decide that you want to do. That could be kind of shifting your art style to something that's quicker. That could be drawing more backgrounds. That could be working on perspective. And then there's stuff that you are going to change immediately, which could be like this bright as the sun light shining into the camera, or it could be like the music is too loud in some videos, or it could be your update day because it just falls on a real bad day of the week and no one thinks to check it. So being able to kind of discern through those three categories and utilize it is really important. And that's why generally artists don't accept unsolicited critique, but see, when people hear that other people don't accept unsolicited critique, they think it means you don't accept any critique whatsoever. That's not the case. most artists ask for critique at some point. They ask for feedback at some point. They might ask their agent. They might ask their editor. Those are very, very trusted and valid sources of critique. You know they have the work's best interest at heart. They want the work to succeed because they're gonna earn more money off of its success. You might ask friends who you trust, who have good taste and who are always honest with you. Even if it's stuff you don't want to hear, they're going to point out the flaws, they're going to point out the plot holes, they're going to point out when you're being annoying. And you trust them, and you know they care about you as a person. They want to see you thrive as a person and grow as a person. So you'll take their critique. And then you can also have critique from people who love you, but it's more of a reflection of themselves than on you. Like, when it comes to that kind of critique, I have to think about, how does this line up with my goals? And when it's critiques about me as a person, I usually line it up against my core values. And I'm not pretending like I'm always these things. These are things I aspire to be. I aspire to always be kind. I aspire to be a soft place for other people to come to. Like, they feel like they can come to me, and I'm not gonna hurt them. I'm not gonna betray their trust. I aspire to be someone you can trust, and that means being authentic, and that means being honest. If I don't like something, I will say it. And if I'm talking about a person, I will usually try to be very kind about that. You know, I'm not like looking to hurt other people, but I don't like lying. I don't like deceiving people. I don't like having to pretend to be something I'm not. It's also my goal to try and uplift other people through bringing honest positivity to them, helping them kind of reframe their negative thoughts into something that's positive, helping them see their art in a different light, providing insight that might help them take the next step, providing an environment with other art, or helping to create an environment with other artists who also have those goals in mind. So like, if you come into the paint box, you know that as long as you're following the rules and you're kind to other people, they are going to be kind and helpful to you. It's also my goal to create things that help other people, that educate other people, that make other people, ideally help other people feel less alone, that help people feel seen, or if they have ADHD, they might see some of themselves in me, and that might lead them to go get a diagnosis, or maybe it will help them love themselves more. That's also a big core goal for me. And I also want to tell stories that are set in the US and that champion aspects of American day-to-day life, and that feature diverse characters, and that feature neurotypical characters, and that showcase different ways of life. And I usually enjoy doing that through a lens of magical realism. So as long as the criticism helps me get closer to one of those goals of being a better, kinder person, a better storyteller, someone who enriches the lives of others, then I will definitely take that into consideration and work towards it. But if it's a criticism that doesn't align with those goals, or if I feel like it's a call to be less honest, or it's a call to pretend that I feel things I don't feel, then I'll think about it and really ruminate on it. But usually I let it go. I say, okay, I acknowledge that people feel this way. I'm a pickle person. I'm not a flavor everyone's going to like, and just kind of move on with that. And I'm sharing this with y'all because it's cathartic for me. It helps me kind of work through my own thoughts and feelings. It's nice to talk to somebody about it. Really nice to just be able to sit and chat with you guys about these things. I don't expect you guys to solve any of it. It's just nice to talk about it sometimes, you know? It's nice to just like hang out, and maybe you're drawing, or maybe you're reading, or maybe you're editing, or maybe you're doing this really boring task and you have me on in the background because you just want to hang out with somebody, and it's really cool to be able to hang out with you guys and just be able to chat. And it is now 12:02, so I'm gonna thank y'all for letting me talk to y'all and letting me minor vent about it, just mostly getting it off my chest and talking about it and ruminating about it. And I will try to be mindful when I'm editing, that as I get excited, I do tend to get louder, and I will try to accommodate that. I do listen to and screen every video, and they don't bother me, but I'm going, in the future, as I'm editing, I'm going to keep in mind that it does bother people, and I will try to be accommodating for that, because I do want you guys to feel comfortable when you're hanging out with me, whether we're doing tutorials or we're painting or we're just chatting, you know. I don't want to put anybody off. And having always had like an overly strong personality, I know I can put people off. So I appreciate those of you who have either you jive with me, you're a pickle person too and you get it, or you just like hanging out with me or whatever, like for whatever reason you're here. I appreciate that you've stuck with me, because I think I have a lot to offer. I think you guys have a lot to offer, and I definitely do think the current iteration of the internet does not really give people a chance to show who they are. It doesn't give you a chance to get to know people as people, and it doesn't give people a chance to change. That's one of the things I like about the internet, is that we can all be very different, and we can all be very cool, and we can all have our own unique take on things, and it doesn't have to take away from somebody else. It can add to it. It can make it a richer experience because it has all these layers of meaning, and that's something that I really like. You know, I love how 5 different people all read the same comic and they're all gonna come away with different things. Or like my favorite, absolute favorite comics that I cry over and I recommend, I could give them to somebody else who I really care about and respect, and they might not, it might not mean the same thing to them, but there's this comic that they really love that has all that meaning for them. And I just love how different we can all be. And my big goal is, and I don't know that I probably won't live to see it, but I can work for it. I can work towards it. My goal is to help make the internet a place where we can be open to those different takes and respectful of those different takes and be like, that's cool. I like that. That's a good jam. This was my interpretation. I feel like we used to be that. The internet used to be that, and YouTube definitely used to be that. And I feel like we keep moving away from that. And so, you know, I'm gonna keep doing my thing, because my thing adds to this canon of diverse voices. And I hope you guys will keep doing your thing and keep adding to this canon of diverse voices. And I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I'm doing the Sakuraco unboxing tomorrow, but this is gonna go live in the future, so that will be the past for you. So if you're interested in tasty snacks from Japan, I hope you guys watched the live stream, and if you missed it when it was live, it is available for you to watch. And I know that's not quite as cool as hanging out in real life. I get it, but it is good company nonetheless. So, good night. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. We are getting ready to do the Sakuraco stream, and it's such a beautiful day outside. I thought we'd do it out here, and then after I got set up, one of my neighbors started mowing the lawn. My southern friends, y'all know how that is. I think some people around here just mow the lawn because it's a beautiful day and they need something to do while they're outside. I guess that's what it is. But we've got the fine china out. We've got the Sakuraco box, and Joseph will be joining me. I don't know why he just covered up his Totoro shirt, other than it's a little chilly out. We were going to be twinsies because I got a no-face shirt on under my sweater, so I guess you can't see it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get the stream started. Oh, see, that's the person. Always somebody mowing the lawn around here. Every single day. All times of the day.
I think it's a pastry.
Those kind of look like chestnuts or figs.
Yeah.
That might be the tea, because there's two of those.
Yeah.
Ooh, a cookie. That's a cute cookie.
Little cookie.
Those look like Monica's.
Some jelly candies.
Oh, Mom's gonna be bummed that she missed that one.
I forget what these are called. You probably know better.
These also look like a type of Monica. Now there is a little bit of dust in the bottom of the box, like something might have gotten popped in transit or leaked in transit a little bit. I'm impressed that held
looks like
up.
It's actually designed to go with the hardware. So
Oh, interesting.
Little fishy guy.
That's cool.
It's some sort of jelly powdered candy. I forget what that's
Delicious.
called,
I'm
too.
glad I grabbed a bowl. Might have to get another.
This is just a little gift, I guess. No, actually, it feels like there's a mochi inside,
Yeah.
but it's hard to tell.
Packaging is really nice.
Mochi? I don't know. It does say mochi
They are
on it.
fond of their
Butter cake.
Baumkuchen. I think we've gotten one in every box.
This just looks some sort of
Like a cracker.
Cookie cracker. Yeah.
A couple more cookie crackers.
Yep. I don't know if the
One's a
design- I
little
think the design
broken.
is on the cookie.
But, I mean, I'm
The
impressed.
ribbon is on the package.
Yeah.
but
Oh, the tree is on the
tree is
cookie.
on the
How
cookie,
cute.
yeah. Another cookie.
And then
Kind of.
every month they've sent
And
us.
finally, the hardware, which it's not lacquerware. I
No,
don't
it's
think.
not wood.
I can't tell what it is though. I guess it's just plastic.
Maybe it's supposed to go with the fish thing. Like
Yeah.
maybe they go
It looks
together.
like it was designed to
So
go with
that's going to need to be washed out
Yeah, see, for the
before
box.
we eat it. Unfortunately for me, I think I'm going to be the one who's washing it.
So what is the first? I think other than the fish.
But you can go first.
Try biting it.
Not that I'm afraid. It's very cute. It's like a little puffer fish. All right. So
No
difficult.
smell to it.
No smell to
It
it.
wants to crack its cranium.
Oh, you're rough.
Well, that's what it showed to do.
Let
You wanna
me
do it or you
find
want me
it
to
in
do
the
it?
book. It's cold out, so I can't get a grip on anything.
Do you want me to do it or you want to do it?
Okay, so this is, you can do it. This is the Fukuruko Shiruko. It is by Iwatsuka Confectionery in Shizuoka. It does contain milk, but it is vegetarian friendly. And inside the blowfish-shaped Monica wafers, thought to be a symbol of good luck, you'll find a mochi surprise. It contains instant shiruko, a sweet red bean and mochi porridge. So this is actually a sweet dish. Place the wafer in a bowl and make a small hole in the top of the blowfish by gently tapping the roof of the Monica with a spoon. Pour 100 milliliters of hot water into the hole. The contents of the blowfish will then enter the bowl. Mix thoroughly to complete.
Is it 100 milliliters?
It did, yeah.
So kind of fill it up or not?
It's also leaking, so just do your best.
It's supposed to leak.
You are probably a little... Yeah, that's probably about it. If you would
He is
hold
swimming.
this, I'll move the camera. So thank you. Oh, it smells good. That is definitely...
It has those little rice puffs inside that was in, what's that kind
That
of
tea.
Yeah.
The, it just keeps getting windier. No, okay. So then the contents of the blowfish will enter the bowl. Mix thoroughly to complete. So I guess go ahead and mix it. Yeah, they're showing
Mix
a... Yeah, they're showing a pair of chopsticks. Ours are all packed up. You're bludgeoning that poor blowfish.
You gotta mix it somehow. It's not breaking up that well. Maybe the water operated, but there's still a few bits left. Yeah, see? Roasted soy flour on top and enjoy. So we've had other snacks like this before. And a lot of it looks like you slide it out.
That's very cute. It is very pink. You should show.
So it looks like the gel is actually Sakura flavored, which makes sense. So it should have some flavor. Is that film still on top? No,
is
it's not. It just kind of looked like it had a plastic film.
Did you read the, so the common allergens for this are soybeans, and it is vegetarian friendly. And this is supposed to pair perfectly with the Rikishi Mochi Monica on page 15. And it's known for helping to build strength, so it's probably a popular Children's Day item.
Get it when the wind is not blowing, hopefully.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job, though.
And maybe we'll wait to add the rest until we've
eaten some and it can actually just stick to the...
Yeah, so I only got a fully cut there. The treat itself is from Niigata, it looks like. This always doesn't have much flavor. It's really more of a holder for the tasty...
It's like a sandwich cookie, like a wafer sandwich cookie.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
Okay.
I don't mean to prevent you from enjoying delicious treats.
Sorry. You can see how it kind of broke up a little bit, but also just...
Somehow disappointing. Check out the vlog, because I'm getting all up and personal with these. There you go.
Yep.
Hey guys, good morning. I apologize that I am driving, but we're in a bit of a rush today. Happy Earth Day, by the way. So Joseph and I are heading out to the house we're honestly probably going to buy. The inspectors are out there and we're going to hear what they have to say. It is a beautiful spring day down here in Southeast Louisiana, a perfect Earth Day. I wish I had prepared like a line art or a tutorial or something fun for you guys. Unfortunately, I've just been so busy with house stuff and family stuff that I really haven't necessarily had a lot of extra time to do that. But next year, for sure. It also would have been nice to have like a garden activity or to be able to talk about composting or something, because those are things we actually care a lot about. But in our rental, we're not really able to do that. So that's another next year project as well. And I don't know what this car is doing right here. I'm waiting on them. Oh, they're backing in. Okay. So one final point. Today on Twitter, somebody started a thread about how they don't see a lot of artists who are over 30 years old. And that's something I've noticed as well. Like a lot of us just kind of drop off the face of the planet because we get kind of beaten down by the time we're in our late 20s. And I was just so appreciative that they shared that thread. And I was also so heartened to see so many other people about my age having the same struggles I'm having, because I often feel like I just failed. Like I just took a misstep and my life never happened, and I'm watching everybody else's lives happen. So it was very encouraging to see other people whose art I really like having some of the same issues that I'm having. It made me feel like I wasn't so alone, and I was really appreciative of somebody actually saying something and then people actually responding in a positive way, instead of what so often happens on Twitter these days, it being taken as a negative and a chance to dogpile someone. So that was kind of a beautiful and uplifting moment that I appreciated, and I kind of wanted to share it with you guys, especially if you're in your 30s and you're in kind of the same boat I'm in and you're wondering when your life will ever happen. I guess there's just a bunch of us. And it makes sense because many of us got kind of wrecked by the recession, and then wrecked by the housing crisis, and then wrecked with student loans, and then wrecked by COVID. And it makes sense that many of us have never really found our feet. And I know a lot of Gen Y people have made the same points, that they got hit really hard with that too. And it's like we're two generations that don't really exist in the public eye. And yeah, we do exist. And that's why I do mention my name, my age pretty frequently, is because I want to help normalize it, I guess. I want to put it out there. I'm not ashamed of my tiger stripes. And if someone else is about my age or approaching my age, I want to either give them something to look forward to or show that, you know, we're still out there fighting the good fight. We're just kind of in the midst of it. So I'm really excited to check out the new house. I am hopeful that everything will go kind of smoothly and we won't find any major problems, and that we can just kind of proceed with life, especially because I haven't seen any houses on any of the house sites coming up in Norco, St. Rose, Destrehan, New Sarpy. Like, there's nothing coming up. So I'm hoping this is it. Anyway, if I don't check back with you guys later today, it's because I got caught up in family stuff. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, a happy Earth Day, and I hope if you are able to, today would be a wonderful day to start a compost heap, or maybe to start growing some plants, just something that kind of gives back to the environment. Alright, so we just finished up with the inspections. It turns out that the orca man said there wasn't any sign of termite damage, which is good, but he could not do the wood inspection certificate that we need because they just don't do that, period. So he didn't charge. He says he's not going to charge us anything, and we're just going to have to find someone else to do it. So that's a mixed bag. Good news that there's no termites. Bad news that there's no certificate. The house inspector overall said it looked like the house was in good shape and well maintained. He did point out a few issues that we need to decide whether or not we're going to ask the homeowners to try and fix it, or if we're going to try and fix it. We had already planned on redoing the kitchen for the most part, so I think things regarding like the kitchen floors, we're just going to eat it. We need to talk about whether or not the master bathroom tub, whether we're going to just go ahead and replace it, because Joseph and I are big old nerds and we want to get like an onsen style cedar soaker tub. So now we're at the point where it's like we need to decide whether we want to go ahead and do that or have the fiberglass tub that's in there affixed to the floor. But that's just a decision, you know, that's not like make it or break it. Now, there was one thing that was kind of concerning, and they found a bunch of possum poop in the attic, which is a very Louisiana problem. And that's the thing that kind of concerns me. So I'm kind of hoping we can get them to get rid of that. Obviously, I don't want to buy a bunch of possum poo. And maybe have pest control come out and, I don't know, I don't want them spraying anything toxic, but if there's something they could do, that would be helpful. But otherwise, it's looking good. Joseph sounds pretty upbeat about it. I'm kind of like caught in the whole like possum poo world. So, you know, I should be more upbeat, but my brain is focused on that right now. I thought I really liked our inspector. Both of them were very friendly, personable guys. And while, you know, that is not the end all be all to a professional relationship, in Louisiana, I've dealt with so many people who are like kind of rude and standoffish. That is just nice to be dealing with somebody who likes dealing with people.
And we use 5th generation for the home inspection and Orkin St. Rose for the termite inspection.
Both of them were nice, personable people. What I really liked about the home inspector is that he actually took photos of things so that when he was talking to us, he could show us in the photos. I appreciate it. I'm that kind of person too, so I really appreciated him taking kind of a graphic novel approach to it in a way. I guess our brains work in the same way, so I like that. I would recommend him. He seemed like a good job, and he was able to point out what they did right in the house in addition to things that need improvement. And I like that as well because I like learning about how to do things correctly. So I thought it was a pretty good experience. The homeowner did come home midway because she works from home and she had to get some work done, and that made things, she was fine, but it just made things a little uncomfortable because, you know, we're talking about her house in front of her, and that's a little weird for me. But it wasn't a bad experience at all, and it's seeming like we're going to move forward on this house. So the next steps are we need to come back with what we want them to fix in the house to see if they will actually do that. And then I think the appraiser needs to come and basically appraise the value of the house. And then if the appraisal is less than what we agreed to pay, we can renegotiate. So, you know, we'll see. It's been a very interesting experience, and while I've complained a lot, I feel like it's gone faster in a good way than what I had been led to believe looking for a home would go. So, you know, not all bad. So we're meeting up with Joseph's parents, and we're gonna probably eat some beignets, and I don't really know what else is going on today, but I do hope I can get a little bit of work done. And as you guys can see, it's really beautiful Louisiana day. Okay, I promised I would share with you guys some of the other snacks as we ate them. So these are like Sakura, marshmallow, and plum, like umeboshi mochis. They are very soft and squishy. Usually with prepackaged mochis, they're usually like kind of hard and kind of preservative-y. And these don't seem like they will be. I just handed Joseph one as well. He is manning the camera, so
very soft
and dropping the mochis. Yeah, they are very, very, very soft. Those are good. Okay. So it's Sakura mochi on the outside, a marshmallow, and then umeboshi, which is like a sour pickle plum kind of thing, on the inside. They're probably meant to be eaten in one bite and kind of chewed. These are good. I'm gonna have to find a way to get more of these. These are... If you're a mochi fan, if you enjoy mochi and you're having a hard time getting mochi due to COVID, or maybe your favorite vendor, like when we lived in Nashville, there was this little old lady who'd make mochi and then sell it to the local supermarket, and then when she quit making mochi, we just didn't have a source for fresh mochi. These aren't a bad substitute, so those are pretty tasty. Hey guys, good evening. So let me get that light. I know that light is bad because it's like just right there in your face. I mean, I'm looking into lights, but at least I'm blinding me, not blinding y'all. So I hope you guys had a good Earth Day. I would have loved to have spent it doing like gardening or composting or just going on a nature hike or something like that. Unfortunately, this year it just doesn't really line up for us, but next year, it's our year. Mostly because if we weren't doing house stuff, we were with Joseph's family today, and there just wasn't a lot of time for other stuff today. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think I'm one of those people who just has a real problem with FOMO, because to me, it's just never like enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just never doing enough, even if I'm working full throttle. Like every October, I do a 31-day inked art challenge where I draw something, ink it, and write a prompt. Okay, that's a lot of work, and then I'm usually also juggling my other work, whether I'm teaching or I'm working on comics or what have you. So I'm always doing that on top of it. But if there's like another something that comes up, like for Halloween or whatever, I'm always like, oh, I didn't do that. I should do that. And then I like feel bad that I didn't do that. And I know how logical me knows that's really ridiculous, but I see other artists fall into it too. So I know it's not just like a Becca thing. It's a pretty common thing, especially when so much of your art success is pushed as being tied to possible other things, whether it's participating in DV Pit or Pit Mad or whatever is coming down the pipe. You know, it's always got to be more. And I watch a lot of anti-MLM videos, and I think part of the reason I am so interested in it is because there are frankly so many parallels to art and webcomics. It is very similar. There isn't someone at the top, I mean, unless you're making content for someone else's site, there isn't someone at the top I'm trying to feed, but like all of the bad, the toxic positivity, all of the self-talk that's aimed at max production for minimal reward, all of the hustle culture, it's the same. All of the guilting people and yourself for not working hard enough, or people sniping at other artists and being like, oh, you're taking a vacation, you're lazy, you don't deserve XYZ success. There's a lot of commonalities, and one of these days I will do like a more cogent video essay where I take like 10 points that are common among MLMs and compare them against comics, web comics, and convention mentality. Convention mentality is a big one, and show, like, just demonstrate like where I'm seeing those similarities. And I'm not taking a stance really on either. I'm not really saying anything about either. I'm just saying there's a lot in common, and I think a lot of one of these two cultures borrowed a lot from the other. I don't know if the workaholic, work till you die and then you might be deserving of a rest mentality that is very common in comics. If MLMs saw that and were like, oh yeah, that's a good way to get people to work for nothing, and adopted a lot of that, or if comics sees a lot of that kind of inspirational BS on like Instagram and Pinterest, and they're like, oh yeah, that applies to us too. If your dream doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough, you just don't have enough hustle, you just didn't want it bad enough. Hey buddy. And I say this with a lot of, hang on a sec, my son needs me. The boy. I say this with a lot of vitriol, not necessarily aimed at people who are involved in MLMs. The vitriol isn't aimed at y'all at all. It's actually aimed at SCAD culture, at art school culture, at comic culture, at hustle culture, at a lot of the vitriol you'll see, a lot of the stupid discourse you'll see. It's like we saw everything that was hurting y'all, and we were like, yeah, give us a big dose of that Kool-Aid too. We're thirsty. And it's not something I like one iota. And I think I could even do this like as a trifecta: MLMs, comics / art on the internet, and social media, because social media platforms also really push that daily hustle. Like, anyone who keeps up with, even just out of interest, even out of curiosity, I'm one of the ones who keeps up with curiosity. Anyone who's like interested in what various social networks algorithms, let me tilt the camera down so you guys can appreciate the child, but then that means y'all can see my mess. No, I can't win. Ignore the mess. Anyway, anybody who keeps up with that just out of interest, I mean, there's nothing wrong if you keep up with it, trying to keep up with it, but it's a lot to keep up with. You guys will notice that every social media site pushes more and more, like Instagram. The hurdles to maintain relevancy with Instagram's algorithm are crazy, because you have to post new art every day. You have to post to the stories at least once a day. You have to post a new reel every day. You have to scroll through and look at people's art and like it and comment it, and that's every day. That's not even like, you know, when you do check Instagram and you actually have time for something like that. Sorry, let me fix it. It's supposed to be every day. Like, artists have had chats, calls with people who work on Instagram. Influencers have had calls with people who work on Instagram, and this is what they are told they have to do in order for their work to show up on the feed of people who follow them. And there's a lot of parallels there with like MLM, push every day, hustle every day, be engaged every day, share something new every day, make all this content to promote this product that in the end you don't own, you don't get any say over. And I mean, the only difference I feel like is like I'm making the stuff I'm trying to sell, but other than that, it's the same language. And I also do think a lot of why artists might find it harder to like sell their books or to sell their own projects or to kickstart stuff is because that pool has already gotten kind of polluted by people who say they own their own business, and then you find out they're just selling Avon or Arbonne. So there's a lot of similarities there, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. This is not a judgment call. It's just something that I kind of noticed, and I've actually been, I've been thinking art is an MLM for years. I just can't figure out who my upline is, who's making the money off of me other than these social media platforms and the merch manufacturers where I get my merch made. But that's a very I think social media platforms are really the ones who are our upline. They're really the ones getting all the benefit off of us because we're the ones creating the content that drives people to their sites every day. That's the new content. They don't have to make the new content. They can just cherry pick what is the best and put it out there, and they can just kind of squash the rest like me. This is just thoughts, not like I haven't done any like real research. I haven't done any real digging. I listen to these videos while I'm painting stuff, so maybe that's why my brain makes the connection. But especially when I was doing a lot of conventions, and when I was teaching, a lot of the pressure was, especially actually now that I'm thinking about it, especially when I was teaching, because when I was teaching, I saw a cut per head, so a share of what each student paid to be in that class. I provided a lot of the materials, not always all of the materials, but a lot of the materials. I provided all of the subject matter. I provided all of the guidance. I answered questions out of class. But in the end, the people I taught with, many times, not every time, but many times, they did not do any promotion for the class. That was all on me. And in some instances, all they were really providing was a physical building to do it in. So that starts getting kind of like, it starts feeling very similar to MLM hustle culture, where you are killing yourself, making flyers, making social media posts, taking out ads on social media, making videos to just try and get people to sign up for this stuff. And the people you're working for they're not giving you any content. They're not giving you any of the photos that they took. Because like when I was teaching with community ed in Nashville, once during classes, and then once during our zine exchange in a whole other semester. And I taught that class 3 times. They sent a photographer to take photos of the class. And I asked if they could send me the photos so that I could use that to help promote the class. And they said, sure. And then I never got the photos. So I was always 100% in charge of all of the content, which, you know, and then they encourage you, like, well, take photos during the class. And it's like, so I'm supposed to stop the class and take photos. You know, I mean, I guess you could, but that is a lot of hustle considering I'm getting paid like $300 for 6 weeks teaching 20 people, and it costs me about $150 to print and assemble their zines. So, this is not like really intended to be vitriol or complaining. It's more like me trying to piece this weird thesis together. That would be a fun thesis, actually, comparing like comic culture to MLMs, and maybe they're nothing. Maybe it turns out the only thing in common is the constant hustle. Maybe so, or maybe I could find something more of a stronger bi-thread between the concepts. I don't know, but so the painting you guys have seen me working on, I think that's on, I want to say that's on Saunders, but I might be wrong. And it's just such a weird paper. If it's any bit damp and it stays damp for a while, it just behaves really poorly. But then when it dries, it looks really good. So, it is not my favorite. I need to like do like a revisit and be like, I know in the review and in the review image it turned out good, but I have fought it ever since. It's just not, I mean, you know, arches is kind of like a bone of contention because some people have gotten bad batches of arches, and anyway, it's getting late and my printer has been printing all day, even though I haven't sent any print jobs to it. So I gotta go investigate that. It's a wireless printer, and every so often it just gets a wild hair. Like, even if there are no print jobs in the queue, it'll just start printing the last thing, even if months have passed. So I gotta go figure out what that's about. We've been printing house stuff, so that's probably what that's about. And, it's good that we're making house project progress. It also feels weird because I feel like in my life, the things I really care about generally are this massive Sisyphean struggle where nothing goes well. And to be fair, we did look at a lot of houses. We made offers on 4 houses, and I believe this is lucky number 4. Not lucky in some cultures, but lucky for me today. And I was kind of impressed we got it, especially, or we seemed to be getting it. I don't want to jinx us, you know. I kind of wondered if telling you guys about the house hunt was jinxing us, in fact. But I guess I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop because that's my life. And it hasn't yet. So if you guys have been crossing your fingers for me, I really want to thank you guys because y'all are luckier than I am. Y'all are my good luck charms. Okay. All right. Cross your fingers that I'm able to find a publisher or an agent who enjoys my work and sees potential there and wants to work with me and help me polish what I do into something that people will love and will make people happy. Yes, you guys are lucky. You guys are magic. Cross your fingers for me. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, good afternoon, happy Friday, happy weekend. I have been joined by Peyton and Gracie in saying, hey, good morning to you guys. So today I'm actually hoping to hit this, when I say restoration hardware, I don't mean the chain store. I mean, it's a store that specializes in recovering hardware from older homes and offering it for sale to the public. My mom has been wanting to hit this place for a while, And I have no idea what to really expect, but I thought I'd bring you guys along with me because I figured it might be interesting, especially for people who are looking for like maybe novel art ideas, or they're looking for some inspiration, or maybe just reference for your comic. So grab your shoes, grab your jacket, and let's get going. Hey guys, so a package came in for me today. I know what it is, and I wanted to show you guys what I got. I got a couple of new resin molds. So this is one Kabocha sent to me, and I guess I couldn't resist. It is the teeniest, tiniest, like, paint mold, right? Like, you can fit so little paint in this, and I thought it was so cute. And I thought it was, like, kind of a cute way to send friends and maybe patrons, like, a dot card. So we'll see. The listing shows it like the finished mold being clear, and then you put color in it. Not clear, white, but I might just leave it clear and put real, like, one little dot of real watercolor. And I know that seems like a lot of work, but it also seems like a nice and cute way to do something for people I care about. I also ordered I was trying to get free shipping. I didn't make it. So what I was kind of looking for were like tray molds and like door, like knob molds and like trinket holder molds. And I did find what looks like a really cute trinket box mold on the same site, or the same shop. So two, I don't know why one is wrapped and the other one isn't, but I ordered 2 new resin molds, and believe me, I plan on doing some resin casting because I want to do the knobs in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, like custom resin knobs with custom colors. So I will probably be doing a lot of resin pouring, but I just wanted to show you guys that, something to kind of look forward to, and I will try to share that process with you guys when I'm actually doing it. Okay, so we are at Ricca's architectural sales. As you guys can see from peeking, there's a lot of like old iron work, some what are you pointing at? Oh, the cat. Oh, I guess I gotta go make friends. So as you can see, there's like a lot of like old cement stuff, old iron work past those gates, that kind of thing. Till 2. So not today. Yeah, we'll have to come back another time. Way. Alright, so unfortunately we missed their window for them being open. Due to COVID, they close at 2 p.m. But this is definitely a place we'll have to come back and check out another time. I mean, just judging from all the cool ironwork and stuff outside and the old bricks, it seems like they've got a lot. A lot of neat stuff. So we'll just have to come back another day. A peek though, to give you guys an idea of what kind of stuff they actually have.
Look at the bathtub, Dad.
Oh yeah, you should tell Joseph that. He's the one who wanted the big old iron tub.
That's not what he wants, huh?
Where? Yes, that is what he wants, actually. Could put one of those in the backyard though and make it into a pond.
Oh, then you'd have mosquitoes.
Well, I want a pond, like a little pond anyway.
Look at that sink.
Yup. Make a good outside sink.
Yeah, for kids to wash their hands and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there, make a great planter. But once you would put it somewhere, it would have to stay. Yeah.
That's an old pinball machine in there. So who knows what treasures untold they actually have
Oh, they probably
inside.
have a lot of treasure.
Okay, Ricca's is closed, so we're gonna try Jefferson Bayou Antiques. They got a lot of something, a lot of doors outside, so maybe this will be a winner. Well, I couldn't tell you guys how to get in here because that door's blocked. It might be up here, but it looks like they just store stuff up here, so I have no idea how to actually shop here. Okay, so we could not figure out how to get into that antique store, so I'm gonna see if Jefferson P is at least open. Somebody's gotta be open today. Come on, y'all.
Well, in the end, none of the salvaged hardware places we went to were actually open or seemed to be open, but on the plus side, I did get to meet a very sweet special needs kitten named Joaquin, who's going to his forever home, and he let me pet him, and he was very soft and very cute. He was one of those wobbly cats where they have like a neurological disorder that messes with their nerves, and so as he gets excited he shakes a lot, but he was such a sweetie, and I'm so glad he's gonna go to a home that's gonna love him forever. Hey guys, happy Saturday! It is a beautiful, bright, and hot and humid Saturday here in Southeast Louisiana. We've got some family chores to do, and then we're supposed to vote. So we'll sure see about that. So let's get going. So we're helping my mom move some shutters, and there is this bird nest she had me move, and there's eggs inside. And I'm so glad I was careful because I'm gonna put it in a tree. Because there's 3 little eggs, and hopefully the mom and dad will be able to find it again and take care of these babies. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys a Louisiana treat. We're going for Snowballs today. There's already a bit of a line, and Joseph's gone ahead and gotten our spot.
Like that. Yep. Yes,
What flavor did you get?
Mango.
Is it good?
I mean, all I've had is the syrup.
I've never had a mango one before. But I've also never had a s'mores one before either. I usually am a spearmint kind of gal.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of gal, eh?
Yep.
All right. And this monstrosity is mine. It's a s'mores with whipped cream and
y'all, it is Saturday evening, late Saturday evening. We are finally at the end of yet another week together. I am somehow more tired than I started out, but that could be because it is 12:04, so it's technically Sunday, and it's probably time for me to hit the hay. So today, after helping with the shutters and having Snowballs, I sketched and inked this piece on the Maitrina watercolor paper. I'm hoping to have a field test for you guys soon. And I also started my Supervision field test. And I'm kind of having mixed feelings because it's not performing as well as I hoped and thought it would. And what the heck, Supervision? I like your stuff in general, but this palette's a weird palette. But you guys will have to watch the full field test to find out more about that. And I'm glad this week is over. Next week's gonna be a doozy. We've got another termite inspection because apparently Orkin doesn't give the certificates out and he didn't tell us that when he showed up. So now we get to do that all over again. I have several doctor's appointments. I get my second COVID vaccine, so it's the Moderna vaccine. I get that on Tuesday. And there's gonna be no chill stream next week. I told you guys I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I don't have anything else to give. So I just can't. You can't draw blood from a stone. So unfortunately, if you are looking forward to the chill streams, if you enjoy them and you do find them relaxing, I'm sorry that I just don't have it in me for this week. Maybe for next week. And I hope to get some more postcards out. I hope to get some of my tutorials edited for my art nerds on Patreon, and I'm hoping that by I'm actually doing a lot next week, so I can't say I'm taking it easy, but I'm hoping I can kind of find some renewed energy and some renewed vigor and maybe start coming out of feeling depressed and burnt out. It's as upbeat as I got, you know? I'm always like, I will try. I will do things and I will try. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope it is full of happiness and creativity. I hope you are safe and healthy and able to pursue the things that you guys are interested in. And I wish all of y'all the best, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. If my wishes mean anything, I wish the best for you guys. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week. Bye, guys.